everybody, and welcome to Geeking Out at the Tower podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and today I'm joined by
Keith,
Wendel,
Ali,
Seth,
Kevin.
And today's main topic is 90's nostalgia. But before that, let's get into some news. So did everybody see the Genisys trailer for Terminator Genisys trailer?
Yes. Genisys written with a Y?
Genisys? Genisys?
Are you sure?
Genisys.
How do you say it properly? Is it?
I'm assuming, well, it's because you say system, so Genisys. It works, it's just
looks weird.
It's just kind of weird.
We
It's
definitely
like-
live in an age where we have to not have the proper spelling. I see it more and more restaurants. I see it more and more.
I feel like we're giving
Movies.
dyslexic kids mixed messages.
Yeah, exactly.
That happened a lot during the 80s, especially with Prince's word naming. It's always like the number 4 in there and the letter U. The number 4 and the letter U's are in there.
No, but that's changing numbers. Now we're just straight up using different letters.
I'm against it because I have to deal with reading American spelling when I stand on my surveys, and it's getting worse and worse. And I blame these movie titles.
And the fact that, hey, you make up a word, it's in the dictionary. Anyway, point is, the trailer, John Connor goes back in time.
No, not
No,
John Connor.
no,
Kyle
John
Reese.
Connor never
Kyle
had
Reese?
that.
Yeah, it's Kyle Reese.
Reese. That's
Yeah.
Totally Kyle Reese.
totally not what the trailer said.
No, they were wrong then.
Alright, so Kyle Reese goes back. Yeah, my bad. John Connor sends Kyle Reese back in time in an effort to save his mother.
Just save
The mother of dragons.
The mother of
dragons. Who basically reformed a Terminator.
No!
You're-
What happened?
I completely did not.
From what I
that trailer is
understand,
okay,
hold on.
can I go? Can I say
Yes,
it?
yes, go ahead.
From what
Sorry.
I understand, and you could correct
Sorry.
me, is they send him back through time, Kyle Reese, as the same one as the first movie.
Yeah.
Except when they get back, it turns out that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator has already come back in time and been turned good and already saved the day. And
Exactly
then,
much.
and then Skynet sends someone else back to change past already.
They sent a T-1000.
So what it seems like what's going on is that in the beginning of the trailer you see they're storming Skynet to get to the time machine. You actually get to see the time machine.
The time displacement
And then-
machine.
Yeah, and so he tells Kyle Reese, go see my mom. She's a very scared woman, blah, blah, blah. Gets sent back, and it starts redoing the same thing as Terminator 1, the beginning, but it's in the filter of Terminator 2, like the blue hue filter. And then he's in the department store, he gets his code, he's about to get chased by a cop. All of a sudden the cop gets run over, door opens from this truck, and it's Sarah O'Connor. Wait, what? And she says, come with me if you want to live. So at some point, it happens where they sent a Terminator so far back, maybe to when Sarah Connor
Probably
was
killed her
young.
when she was a baby.
Yeah, like she was really young, and then that old Terminator stayed with her till she was old now, like Terminator 1 era.
When she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
Actually,
she's
that
in
is
the 20s.
sort of the impression I got when watching the trailer.
Yeah.
It felt like, are they remaking the first movie?
Essentially, they are, but they are still retaining the sort of pseudo timeline shifts that's been
You know what?
happening.
Yeah.
They're pulling a Star Trek.
No, I think...
No.
I feel like...
Where they're sent back in time and they alter the entire timeline.
Basically, what's happening is that the whole, if you've read and looked into the comic books and a lot of the other stories involving Terminator, the idea is that there's multiple timelines that's happening because they're just constantly sending things back in time.
Yeah.
Things are being adjusted all the time. The Sarah Connor Chronicles was an example of that and how things got adjusted there too. This is just another example of the changes have happened through the movies. It's still retained, but then they just send another one that's going back to that time.
Further
and
back.
Yeah,
Further back.
and it's
Further
changing
back.
everything else. So
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of people hating it and be like, why are they messing with my good movie? It's like,
And
technically it's still part of it.
But I feel like they're not messing with it, because I look at it as Terminator 1 happened, Terminator 2, they sent the Terminator back to before Terminator 1, and this is the continuation of that story, where that Terminator apparently didn't die when he went into lava, whatever, or they redid it, and then Sarah's already knows about the Terminators, her son has already been trained about the Terminators, and they continue on from there.
For all I know, this won't be the one from the second. It'll literally just be another reprogrammed Terminator.
Well, the first movie kind of does exist in its own self-contained. It is a close time with the first one.
Yeah.
The second one is where the timeline starts to shift and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And more so with the third one.
True. Well, the third one basically, and the TV show,
Let's forget about the third one.
Well, no, because the third one was bringing up this whole thing no, your kids are more important, John. And it's nope, that never gets brought up again.
Yeah.
And then you have Salvation,
So,
yada yada.
as for the trailer itself, though, did you like the trailer?
Arnold versus Arnold, so good.
Not really, he just shoots him when he comes in and there you
So-
go.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, this guy's done with. Let's keep moving on.
Yeah, we're gonna take his face when he's
I'll
done with
be
this
back. And he goes through a chopper.
I wanted wanted to talk about
Oh,
that.
man,
That
that's so
He's like, I'll
for
be
me.
back. I'll be back. And where are you going? And he jumps off the chopper to bullet himself into another chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Chopper. And I was like, I was impressed by that. I was like, wow, get down. I mean, the chopper. Get
That's it.
down.
I think this trailer was perfect. It hit every single note you want to see.
You saw Arnold. You saw Arnold shooting Arnold.
You saw old Arnold, new Arnold.
And you got all the quotes.
Yes.
Everything for everyone.
Because sadly, that's what they always have. Come with me if you want to live.
I'm more worried that maybe that's all the good parts.
I
of
was
the
just gonna
movie.
say, I think that's what's happening.
And you don't actually well, I'm gonna probably see it because it.
Arnold
It
Schwarzenegger
might
does
be-
not make bad movies. This entire movie is going to be
I'm sorry. Yeah, all his movies are good. Jingle All the Way being the best.
Yes.
What?
All the way.
No.
With
Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero.
I think I was too young for that. I have to rewatch that because it's super meta.
But I think you're $6.
Like I didn't like it when I first saw it as a
be.
kid. As a kid, I have to rewatch it.
I think your $6 for this movie on a Tuesday is going to be well worth it.
Yes.
Probably. Any other thoughts on the trailer?
I was in the same boat as you. I think they just showed everything, trying to hit every note, and it's like, yeah, come see it. And it's like, you just showed me everything.
You gotta generate the hype machine.
I say best trailer in the last 3 weeks. Beats out Star Wars, beats out Jurassic Park.
Star Wars
I
doesn't count, that's
disagree.
teaser trailers.
Oh,
I
Star Wars
disagree.
doesn't count.
I think the teaser for Star Wars, I like it, but I think Jurassic World as a trailer, I feel shows less while still giving you the same feels. And
It shows
giving you
less, but
enough.
more.
Yeah, in some extent. Well, this one feels like it's playing all its cards out right away.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna go there and be like, you remember like the Iron Man trailer where it showed all the action scenes basically in the trailer?
Are you talking about Iron Man 1?
Probably
one,
all
two.
three of them.
Because
Just
Iron
like-
Man 1 was the best one.
Yeah, I know, but even then, but it.
I still like.
That's
three,
a-
but
that was a
yeah,
good movie,
I could.
But even the
it
other
hurts-
ones did
it hurts.
that.
It hurts a lot.
I'm still saying
For
best
shame.
trailer of 2014.
I disagree.
What trailer would you pick?
The Guardians of the Galaxy trailer.
Oh, busted!
Aha, I didn't think about that one, did
Was
you?
that-
What a.
I don't even remember
You're
the
such an
trailer.
a-hole. It's
No,
from the
the
Guardians of the
trailer-
Galaxy.
Yeah, but when did the trailer come out?
Probably in
Before the
2014.
movie.
Oh, yeah, it still counts.
I mean, like, I don't know. This whole trend of getting, like, maybe it came out 6 months before. Teasers tend to come out a year before. Trailers come out about 6 to 8 months usually before.
6 and less.
Or, yeah, some depends on the movie.
All they wanted to do was generate hype. Hype was generated.
I liked it. I definitely liked it. Like, I mean, they screwed up the timeline as much as it is already. What's one more movie?
Well, you know, they might just do a reboot like they did. Like, it's definitely a reboot.
Because you have to remember, Salvation does count into it too.
I know, but apparently the whole thing is that
Yeah, it's basically a reboot.
they're making a reboot. It's
Yeah.
like what Star Trek did when it came
Or what?
when they did a reboot of the series.
Or what was it called again? X-Men: Days of Future
Exactly.
Past did.
It's something a lot of movies have been doing right now. They're like, oh, the universe is great, but you know what? Let's make a new one.
Keeping on that movie train, we're gonna move on to some casting news. So it's been revealed that the Suicide Squad movie has been entirely cast, and we have Will Smith as Deadshot.
Woo!
We have Margot Robbie, I think, as Hey Mr. J.
Oh,
Harley Quinn, yeah. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. We have Jared Leto as the Joker.
Woo!
And we have, I think, Tom Hardy as Captain Boomerang?
No. Tom Hardy is
The Last Action Hero.
No, Sergeant.
Oh, sorry,
Sergeant
Flag.
something.
He's Rick Flag.
Yeah.
We have Jai Courtney as Boomerang.
Yeah.
And we have Cara Delevingne, or Vine.
She's a Victoria's
As-
Secret model.
Yes.
Oh,
As
as
Enchantress? Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? I think, minus Will Smith, which is not because he's black, but because it's Will
Racist.
Smith. It feels like I didn't think he would be the best Deadshot in my opinion. I didn't think so. I mean, he'll probably act it out well, but he was not the person I saw as
Welcome
that.
to Earth.
I think Will Smith has definitely gone way past his
Prime.
90s, his 90s self, where he's just like,
His
hey
prime.
yo, I have the black suits coming and all that, like, look at me, I'm black kind of
His
character.
prime.
And so I think you could totally do it. Like what, Deadshot's supposed to be like an upper class kind
Could
of
be, yeah.
assassin kind of thing, or he could be played that way. I can see Will Smith doing it. I mean, no one's gonna have a hard time.
I don't know what the Joker's gonna be doing in there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's
Just messing up everything.
Is he
He's
just there for Harley Quinn?
He's gonna be there for chaos. That's what he's gonna be
More
doing.
like
I
because
know.
no one is gonna
But
give
I
a shit
think- I think
about
he
the
might
movie
be-
if he's not in there.
I
Personally,
think he might just be a villain, but not part of the. He's not gonna be part of the Suicide Squad.
He
He's
could be. He's.
I don't
I've
think he's
heard
been in the actual Suicide
He's not-
Squad.
I think
movie.
he's been-
kinda has maybe.
I think it's-
I've heard he's appeared in comic books, but only when Harley Quinn went after him and not as part of the team.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me.
Well, I'm just curious to see because I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street, so I heard
Archie
Margot-
was really good.
I heard she's
Yes.
she's good as she's a good actress. I don't know if is she gonna be able to pull off that voice and convincingly, because she has a lot to live up to in terms of the cartoon from Batman the Animated Series.
From what I've heard from a lot of people, they said like she could do it.
Yeah,
she
she
could
could
do it.
definitely do it.
She's got the chops for it.
Because that voice is really iconic.
Hey, Mr. J. Well,
We need to chop.
oh, stop it. Boo. No one can see you on this podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe one day.
No,
But
we'll see about that.
I'm more interested in what the script is going to be. Like, if they manage to lock in all these people, part of me is like,
Hey, well, they got a bunch of really good actors.
Yeah, but what's the script though?
Well,
Like, are they all signing in before the script is even pending?
I'm pretty sure the script's out there, but I don't think they've mentioned what it's going to be about. That's probably going to be something they're going to announce at like Comic-Con or because it starts filming I think in 2015,
Yeah,
like
soon.
May or June 2015.
But
So
with like this entire it's always going to be the same, right? Government gives them a mission,
Yeah.
and then they have to solve it, and half of them have to die.
pretty much as
Yeah,
everyone
Which,
is
oh,
saying.
and they can bring in new people.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Which
yeah.
reminds me, I want to know who's going to be playing Amanda Waller.
Yeah, that's still in flux. Oprah is one of the. They
I-
want
I-
Oprah.
I want Miss Pounder to play her, or maybe Octavia Spencer. Either one of those. Like
I think Octavia Spencer.
Like I would say, the original voice actors for
Yeah.
Amanda Waller on the DC universe would be awesome, just as well, because she does that role anyway in her other stuff that she does.
Yeah.
So I would like to see them kind of pay a little bit of tribute to her at
Yeah.
least. And,
And she's done on camera work before
yeah,
too.
she's done
So.
a ton. Yeah.
Well,
I think
Oprah's a great
I
actress.
think if Oprah can't play it, they should get Ellen.
I would only reason I would want to see Oprah play this role
She
because
goes,
I want to see.
she goes in front of Suicide Squad. Look behind your chairs. Oh my God!
You get a neck bomb. You get a neck bomb. You get a neck bomb.
You're all getting a neck bomb.
But no, I didn't see the butler, but did she play like a kind of like controlling like?
I haven't seen that either.
I don't think any of us have seen the Butler.
Because the reason I bring that up,
I
I
love
want to
the
see her
color
be.
purple.
I want to see her be like a hard, like stone, like
I'm sure she
cold
can do
woman kind of thing. Like like this is how it is. Like her when she's at the exec table. That's what I want to see her as.
Well,
basically.
you have to watch the clip when people ask her like how many people. Well, like when people ask her about money, she's like, no one ever asked me for $5-10. They always ask me for like $5,000.
So based on the casting, does that make you excited for the movie?
I don't know. You can have a great cast, and the movie turns out to be total
Yeah.
I'm
garbage.
not crazy about Jared Leto playing the Joker. I just right now I don't see
But
it.
is it too soon?
Well, because remember everyone said that about
Ledger.
Heath Ledger too.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
But,
what's up
like,
with this picture?
I don't know. Every time I see Jared Leto, all I can think of is like
Dallas
30
Buyers Club?
Second to Mars, and not
That would make him perfect for the Joker. He has
And-
that look.
and not his movies. And I know he's been in so many movies, but every time I see his face, I'm like, isn't that the musician from that band?
Yeah.
You see, when I look at him, I see like, isn't that Russell Brand?
Ali, your thoughts?
Don't care about DC movies. I really don't.
Okay. Kevin?
I'm gonna have to see a trailer because I think okay, you hear the cast, but
Well, see a trailer in 2 years, Kevin.
No, next year.
because I
next
mean,
year.
this is
Teaser.
like
You're
DC's response to.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
yes,
Yeah, but I'm
exactly.
saying like this is their Guardians of the Galaxy, where I think the
Yeah, like it's the brand new thing
yeah,
that no one even
that no
knows
one
about.
really knows.
Yeah.
And they're
it's
still
a-
trying to
it's
tie in
fresh.
some stuff that people know, like
Yeah,
Joker and
So I'm
Harnois.
saying I didn't read the
Yeah, but
comic books or
Harnois
anything,
was
so there's
part
no
of it.
hype for me.
The Joker.
But maybe a trailer.
Oh,
and,
I'm just saying, like,
They have appeared in they had their own movie this year before I think there was a DC animated film that was a Batman movie, but it was
Attack
technically a
on-
Suicide Squad movie.
It was Attack on Arkham
Arkham,
or something
yeah.
like that.
On the block.
Assault on Arkham.
Assault on Arkham, yeah.
And then
I heard that was really good though.
yeah,
It was in between the two games.
and they had their appearance in the Arrow CW DC universe.
Really?
Yeah, they've appeared.
I thought it was more so the Flash's Rogues Gallery was kind
No.
of coming
No,
out.
no. Actually, they appeared in in Arrow season 2.
Oh, okay.
They do a mission with the show,
Mhm.
and then they appear again. I think in partway through season.
In
3.
Arrow, they have like a Waller there that runs Argus.
Okay,
So,
cool.
It's not the same though. And then moving on in casting news, we have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Finally, about time, but now we know that there's probably not going to be a Green Lantern in Justice League. They're just kind of like, yeah.
I think that's the
Not
last thing on
necessarily.
their
They can
list.
keep it in 2 different.
No,
universes.
he's
No,
I think
but not
he's
him.
in-
But not him.
No,
as-
No. I don't think he wants
What
to
is
do
he
it
as-
again.
It's not like it was bad. As
The
Green Lantern.
movie was
The
bad.
movie was bad.
The movie was
That's
just-
what happens when you get the people that do No Ordinary Family to do your movie.
I like Ryan Reynolds, but I just remember the last movie where he tried to play Deadpool.
That was
That's
also
not
a
so
movie
bad.
No,
It wasn't his
No,
fault.
no,
but
no,
I'm like,
no,
When
oh.
he was playing Deadpool, okay,
The
before
beginning
they
of the
shut his
movie
mouth,
was
he
really
great.
good.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie was he was really good, and he was spot on because he has the comedy chops to do it, and
Yeah,
the
he
body.
has that time.
I'm just saying,
But no,
if he
but-
gets another script where they turn him into a crap player,
No, the
I
whole
don't want to
point-
see that Deadpool.
The whole point
He's
is
the
that
main
it's
actor.
not.
Yeah,
Because
the
he's
whole
a
point is
fan,
that- yeah.
and there's huge executive overhead on this one.
Oh, really?
I think that's why the whole thing, the writer or the director may be a control freak. I don't know.
Mhm.
Point is,
No, it's just
when he was Deadpool before the sewing of the mouth,
that was Fox coming in and doing their thing.
he was pretty good at it.
Oh,
No,
I agree, but then it turned into
But
a
then
crap
Fox
fest,
happened.
and is Fox not doing this movie too?
Yeah, but they're
Well,
not-
there you go.
but
Fox
it's-
might happen again.
Can I finish?
No.
But it's not the same execs. Those execs have left, and now it's a
That's what
new
she said.
group of people coming in. Just like with anything, usually what happens with TV is, hey, I'm a new exec. What did the old exec do? I don't like that. Cancel that, move that around, shuffle,
Yeah.
shuffle. Here's my stuff.
I think this movie has a better chance because one, it is a Deadpool movie, and you don't tend to sew up your actor's mouth. Your main actor, you're paying tons of money to.
Well, the main actor and plus the guy that's supposed to talk.
Ryder puts the mouth.
He's very, like,
Yeah.
I didn't like Blade 3, but he was talking a lot. So part of me was like, yay, they shut him up.
I said I like Ryan Reynolds, and I think he's a good actor. I really liked Waiting. I thought that
Oh,
was
yeah,
a great
it
movie.
was very definitely good. Welcome
But,
to the Thunderdome, bitch.
But I'm going to be tentative on this movie until I see a trailer because I know Fox could screw up Deadpool because I've done it before. That's all I'm saying.
But I think out of the two roles, definitely it was better that he took the Deadpool one. For Green Lantern, there's so many other Green Lanterns you could use.
They
So
could've
that's
done-
not that.
They were going with John Stewart, and all of a sudden they're like, no, we have to bring back
What about
Hal
the other white
Jordan.
guy? What's his name again?
Kyle
Ryan-
Rayner?
No,
Sorry, Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner. Yeah.
Oh, Guy Gardner.
They should have gone with Guy Gardner.
So then,
Doesn't everybody hate Guy Gardner?
Yeah,
though?
Exactly.
they did.
Everybody hates Guy Gardner, even in the comic book.
I meant in the
that's-
comic
Or
book
maybe they can
universe.
go with the new one from the new 52, the rabbit guy.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
No, they should just go with the planet.
Ego is his name, I think.
Is-
Or is that
Is it Ego?
Mogo.
Mogo, yeah.
Mogo? Okay, my
Yeah.
bad.
In other casting news, Benedict Cumberbatch has been announced finally as, not as Khan, but as Doctor Strange.
Smog?
No, he
No,
was
Doctor
already
Strange.
Smog. He's now Doctor Strange.
Small.
This guy has so much stuff underneath his belt now.
And
Sherlock.
And Sherlock, yeah.
You know he's gonna be a great Doctor Strange.
Wendell,
You know
are
he's
you
gonna
a
be
cover
great-
bitch?
Not
That is
big
an
of a-
actual
Not that
term,
big
by
of a
the way.
bitch. Not that big.
No, that's the actual...
That's a term
that's
that
what they-
I know.
The fans call
Yeah,
themselves
yeah,
cover
yeah.
bitches.
He's in a lot of things, and so far he's nailed every single one of them.
Except
so I
Julian
like-
Assange. That one didn't do too well.
Well, because
He
nobody cares.
basically doesn't nail his non-geek properties that well, it seems.
Yeah, that was the only one.
Everyone loves him when he does his like genre or geeky stuff,
Mhm.
and Sherlock because all the shipping you can do.
Yeah.
But
Stop.
in terms like all of his serious projects don't do that well.
Apparently, his
Never got
movie
his
where
name.
he plays Alan Turing, okay? Apparently, like, there's Oscar buzz about his,
Yeah.
The Imitation Game, in case.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, that
Imitation
movie.
Game.
That's true.
apparently...
It's possible. It is Oscar season.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Good history. Good history.
is everyone
Big one.
excited for this?
I'm definitely very excited. I don't know if anybody has seen the DC cartoon that they did a while back.
Nope.
That was a good.
We're talking about
it's
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Marvel.
Marvel.
You made a mistake.
Yes.
You
It's
said,
not
you said
DC.
DC. No, that's fine. Keep going.
Yeah, no, there was a Marvel cartoon that was a while back of Doctor Strange, and they did a good job at that. It actually, I didn't know much about Doctor Strange back then, and that definitely helped me out from getting to know more of this character, so it'll be definitely interesting to see this in the live action, see how they do. It'd be nice to see newer characters come out at this point.
I saw the Doctor Strange cartoon movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Doctor Strange, and afterwards I didn't really want to learn more from that.
No,
I was like, these bad villains seem really cool, but he seemed like, I know everything. I'm amazing.
now it's getting the MCU treatment, so that does
His
make it
name is
interesting.
Strange. Who is Strange?
I think Benedict Cumberbatch is going to pull it off. I mean, he does seem to do well, and he seems to enjoy the genre stuff, so he'll definitely bring his A game to that.
I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan, and again, like most of everyone here, the only thing I know about it is that Marvel straight-to-DVD movie, and I wasn't super impressed by it. So
I guess that was the other one. But
So no, we'll see if he brings people in on this.
He loses the usage of
His
his
hands, and then he can do magic with his hands. I don't get
He
it.
becomes a grand wizard.
I don't get it. It's like you're the best wizard ever. Why? Because you can't use your hands. You're a wizard.
You're a wizard.
All right.
I don't get it.
In other news, we have
Spectre.
the James Bond movie.
Yes.
But that
You
was
know
just
what?
a teaser.
No, the thing is, it wasn't a teaser. They just showed.
that
The
they
thing is,
named it.
They showed
it's
the
gonna
car.
be coming out in a year. They're starting filming like
Soon.
in January.
Yeah.
And it's coming out in a year.
Because apparently they're tied up in rights to the name for that organization,
Yeah. Oh,
so that they can
wow.
finally use it. So there are suspicions that they'll be bringing back Blofeld as a villain.
Yeah.
To that extent as well. So we'll see
That's
how
the
that
guy that
works.
strokes the kitty, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And then he keeps dying and comes back as other actors because
Yeah.
he just gets facial reconstruction. But,
Alright. But yeah, new James Bond movie. It's going to be exciting. I think it's the 25th one.
so yeah, it's all.
It's not the. Yeah, I think it's.
Or maybe more?
I don't
No,
know.
no, there
I
haven't.
can't
There's
remember.
been enough, but there can always be more. I do look forward to it. The last one was good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
enjoyable. The last few have actually been pretty good.
Daniel Craig has been a good
Knocking
James
it out of the
Bond.
park.
But
I don't know about. I like the movies. I don't know. I'm still out on him as James
Why does
Bond.
Bond?
I like personally. I like of the
Sean
quote
Connery.
unquote no of the new quote unquote newer ones like 90s onward. For me, it's
Pierce
like
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan is like
Yeah.
my favorite, but I feel really bad what they did to him. Just like, oh yeah, shove underneath the rug.
Well, that's what they do.
No, they don't. They usually tell it like
To be
we're going
fair,
another way.
My
but
favorite
they
part
tell.
of any James Bond movie are the gadgets. So
Well, see,
But-
they're bringing gadgets back.
But what's the
But if you
deal?
like gadgets, you should just watch Get Smart.
I did. It was fun. I love that
What
movie.
were you gonna say?
What's the deal with this one? I thought they were switching actors. Because at the end of Skyfall, he's kind of like...
No, I think he's
No.
got two more in him.
Oh,
Yeah.
two more left.
Multi-deal contracts,
I was
everybody.
just saying, at the end of Sky, it looked like he
No,
was
that's it.
done.
He wanted
No.
to be done, but maybe he had a change of heart.
No, I thought this was it completed the quote unquote trilogy of his storyline
Yeah.
of him and his family, and then it's like okay, now we're starting from base one, like at
Now he's
Doctor
a,
No,
now,
basically.
now he's a spy.
Yeah, like no, like he's not the best spy, he's the good spy that they got. Like he's damn
Working
good.
man.
Yeah, but no, it seems like they're gonna like move on from here. So Colin Firth? No, that's not the right guy.
Oh,
They
Ray,
got-
not Ray Fiennes.
Rafe, isn't it Rafe
Oh,
Fiennes?
actually, it might be Ray Fiennes.
Isn't it Rafe? Is he
He's
still
the
in
new
this?
M.
Yeah,
he's the new
yes,
M, but is he
yeah.
still?
Yes,
Yes,
he's.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 'cause they
it's
killed
mentioned
him
that he's
off
still
the,
in.
Yeah, they kill off the other one.
Yeah.
They give her an awesome send off. It's really
She
sad
goes out
it's
like a
happening to her.
badass. Spoiler. In other news, Day of the Tentacle will be getting a re-release, or at least a remaster,
Remastered.
by Double Fine, and it will be coming out on the PS4, Vita, PC, and Linux.
Oh
Nice.
wow! No
Linux.
Xbox One.
Apparently, they said, "No, Microsoft, you are not. You shall not pass."
Just
There's
like
a lot of that happening
It's
right
like Street
now.
Fighter.
Oh yeah, it's
Street
true.
Fighter said no to Xbox.
Yeah, there's a lot of that happening right now. Also, in relation, Grim Fandango is another one that's making its.
It's currently in the remaster phase. That was announced.
Can we point and laugh at Kevin?
Why?
Because he is the
Yes.
Xbox owner?
He has the Xbox
Yeah, but
Master
that's
Race.
not. Yeah, but it's Xbox.
It's okay, he can always
It's not
play it
even
on his
Xbox
PC.
One.
Not even...
It's like it can't.
Not even
No.
new gen Master Race.
It doesn't
Still
matter.
Old Xbox.
Well, either way, it's not coming to the Xbox franchise as of yet. A lot of these
Maybe
things
it's a
change.
delayed release.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
always things
Just
that's
like
delayed
last year.
releases and whatnot. It's apparently the greatest adventure game. I keep hearing that title every time something gets remastered by Double Fine.
Yeah,
Because
but
is that what people were saying about Grim Fandango? It was the best adventure game.
a good chunk of the team that were
Maybe for
that
its
were
age.
at LucasArts made those games went on to Double Fine.
Yeah.
Basically. So,
No,
but every of those games they managed to get a hold of from that portfolio
Is the next greatest, because every time they're remastering one of them, it's like the greatest adventure game as according to the people from, and then it's
People
like
who made it
but-
think it's the greatest.
No,
game
no,
to
but
enjoy.
no, it's straight up. It's
no, I understand that they're good games. It's just that every time these games get remastered, I keep hearing the term "best of
well,
this."
because
best
remember
of this.
all these games didn't come out in the same year. They came out, a little, this year.
No, I
that year.
understand that, but if you know, like, it's like the best, like they were saying Grim Fandango, best adventure game
Yeah,
before this, and it's like, is it really, if you're gonna go say that about Day of the Tentacle? And honestly, I haven't played both. I've always wanted to play Grim Fandango,
It's a
but
nostalgia
no,
thing.
I understand that.
And people do love
nostalgia.
those games. They like love those games, and they probably hold up if you could play them.
You know,
On
I
your
find it
computer,
weird
you
that
could.
people say it's like the best games of the year. Up until this year, I haven't heard of either of them. I heard of Tentacles for the first time this weekend,
Mhm.
and Grim Fandango I only heard about recently also.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like,
I've only
How
played
is it
one
best?
today.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, how can these games be like the best games ever when like I'm not like the super biggest gamer, but I feel like I would know like.
It's because you
But
didn't
it's-
have a PC at
it's
that
'cause
time.
what-
Yeah, they're
PC
very
games,
PC,
and
so
then-
you didn't.
what were you playing?
What PC games were you playing at that time?
What year did
Us- what year did they come out?
The 90s? Late
Then
90s?
I was
Yeah,
playing,
90s.
then I was playing
90s.
StarCraft 2 and Diablo.
Yeah, that's
StarCraft 2 is not out.
Yeah, StarCraft.
Starcraft.
What time? When did it come out?
StarCraft.
Basically, this is a game
StarCraft 2 just came out.
Sorry, StarCraft.
All right.
Brood Wars. I call Brood Wars 2.
That's 2. They came out before that.
This game is, a lot of people that are playing the PC games, played a lot of the LucasArts games, a lot of the point-and-click games. This was like their games from a long time ago. A lot of people enjoyed this. It came with the same energy as Monkey Island, Full Throttle, Indiana Jones, and a lot of those games, that crowd of people, the people that enjoyed the PC games at that time, the adventure games at the time, those are the games that a lot of those people have been wanting. And you've seen a slow rise in them through Kickstarters, through
Double Fine, doing other stuff, adventure.
and it seems like now they're getting back those ideas, those IPs that are supposed to, because a lot of these were supposed to get released and there was work on them, but then they got canned because of all the LucasArts stuff that was happening,
and then
the
Disney
buyouts and stuff like that. So it's really that's pushing this, how it's getting people hooked onto it. So
Hooked on comics.
Personally, I'm looking forward to it. It is something a bit of something that I enjoyed in my childhood. So I will definitely be picking this up just from all the times that I've played it when I was younger. The one thing I'm interested in for Day of the Tentacle is the one that I played. You were actually able to play the Maniac Mansion version of it inside the game. So it would be interesting if they do that as well, because then it's 2 games that is getting remastered.
Okay, so I just googled the games that came out the same year as Grim Fandango. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Half-Life, StarCraft, Metal Gear Solid, Pokemon Red and Blue, Crash Bandicoot, Resident Evil 2, Unreal, Fallout 2, Thief, Baldur's Gate, Xenogears, King of Fighters, Soul Calibur, Mario Party, Banjo-Kazooie, Spyro the Dragon, and Sonic Adventures. Why would you play Grim Fandango?
Now we know why no one gave a shit. I actually had Grim Fandango.
It was a cult hit.
It was a very cult game. I mean, just because we don't know one game.
How could that be the game of the year? How could that be the game of the year?
No. It's one of those games. That wasn't my thing. My point was that these games called the greatest game of a certain
there are a lot of
genre.
big games in that list.
No, it's an adventure game.
It's an adventure game. It's a point-and-click adventure game.
Yeah, but they were saying when Grim Fandango was released, it's like the best point-and-click adventure game. But when and then it's like now Day of the Tentacle. That was my original point. But on the side note, whatever happened to like the good old Mathemagics games?
Oh God, kill yourself.
Those games that you can take in the floppy disk.
So expect that at some point because no release date has been set yet.
If you canceled again.
No, it's not. It's actually not.
So expect it after Grim Fandango. So in like 3 years, maybe. So is there any news you guys would like to talk about?
I think we covered everything for this week.
Sounds about right. So join us in our next topic where we'll be geeking around.
This is Austin St. John. I played Jason, the original Red Ranger from television's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Right now, I am geeking out at the Tower Podcast. Check it out, man. It's Morphin' time.
And welcome back to the Geeking Around segment where we talk about things geeky or otherwise going around in the geekosphere. So, Ali, what have you been up to?
In the last 2 weeks, I watched 2 movies. One of them being Mockingjay, Part 3/Part 1 of the Hunger Games series.
So would it be Hunger Games Part 3 / Mockingjay Part 1?
Yes.
That's how it's written?
No, I was just... Yeah, so the movie sucks.
Wait, which one?
Mockingjay Part 1 is what he said. He doesn't like it.
Wendell liked it, but I mean, okay, compared to the other 2 Hunger Games movies, where you have a battle royale of sorts,
and then another
one,
battle royale of sorts.
In this one, nothing happens. They shoot a plane down with a bow and arrow. Yay!
But no, there's a lot of build-up. There's a lot of build-up, a lot of character building up to move into the second movie. And I didn't read any of the books, so I have nothing to go on. No expectations, nothing. So I was just like, you know what? This was actually pretty fun. And the ending, or a little bit before the ending, I liked a lot. I was shocked. I was like, what?
So it basically suffers from a lot of problems I hear the part 1s of this
part 1s of a 2-part, finale.
Yeah.
Suffers a lot of that. Best part of the movie is all the
no, not even, but that's not even a good part. That's just like, okay.
It was weak. If you read the books, you'll understand why it's weak.
Okay.
Because all the good stuff happens in part 2.
Well, from what I understood, some people liked the last book, and some people liked the second book more than the last book. I heard it was like a big split down
If you like things happening in your movies, Don't watch this one.
The second one's better from what I hear so far. It's the better of the 3 movies currently out.
Yeah, I've heard splits,
But that could all change with the part 2.
yeah.
In
It's
all
probably
honesty.
something that you've meant to be watching all in one go kind of thing, but
Who has 12 hours to waste?
everyone that watches Lord of the Rings, so I don't see what the complaint is there, to be
Who has
very
12
honest.
hours to waste on a bad movie?
Well, it's not that bad, come on.
You're gonna see part 2, obviously.
Well, you have to. I watched 3 of them.
So would you recommend that people break it up, part 1 now, part 2 later, or just watch part 1 but right before part 2 comes out?
Everyone who wanted to watch Hunger Games, Mockingjay probably watched it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, Ali, I hear you saw Horrible Bosses 2 as well.
I did, and I think everyone here saw Horrible Bosses 1, and we all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At least I'd like to. It was a funny movie, right?
I didn't
very
see
funny.
any.
Well, shame on you, Keith.
Yes.
Horrible Bosses 2, not as good as the first one, not worth paying full price, but I saw it on a Tuesday for $6, and I think it was well worth the price of entry. And I mean, because the story, it suffers from, bad sequels.
Same-itis?
Bad sequelitis.
It seems like a same-itis, like Hangover.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Second verse, same as the first.
like they didn't need a second one, but they did. So they made a second one. It wasn't as good as the first one, but everyone in the theater was laughing their ass off.
Well, if there's nothing else to laugh at except the screen in front of you, what are you gonna
I'm
laugh
just saying, it could have just been a bad movie.
Maybe
Oh, yeah,
someone
sure.
ripped one, and
But this is like a very similar to the first movie.
And the whole gang is back, right?
And, Charlie Day is more Charlie from
Oh, Lord.
It's always sunny.
Always
Nice.
Sunny. Oh, God, it's the same character.
It's so
He's
good.
so stupid. He's the same character. But if you enjoyed Horrible Bosses 1, you're going to enjoy Horrible Bosses 2.
Just wait till it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, watch it at home.
Or
Yeah.
watch it as a matinee.
I saw a few people
Yeah, or
like,
watch it as a matinee. Go with friends. Definitely, you'll enjoy it. It's funny. It's a
should
funny
you
movie.
be inebriated?
Yes.
A lot of comedies tend to work a bit better when you're
with
inebriated.
mind-altering substances.
No.
Just be.
Well, beer is mind-altering.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Winners don't do drugs.
All right, so
Lose, you
Keith,
lose.
what have you been up to then?
Well, I've been continuing playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and this weekend I watched the Game Awards. And,
You don't sound very pleased about it.
I'm a little salty about it, actually. Yeah, I found it very boring. Also, I didn't really understand some of the categories. Like, they're like, oh, mobile games. And then I was like, oh, so it's about phones. But no, it was handheld games. And then they threw Hearthstone in, and I was like, that's a tablet game. What is this category that people are talking about?
The tablet that you could hold in your hands.
Yeah, but you can
I think
hold a
that counts.
laptop in your hands, too.
Why would you hold a laptop in your hand?
Yeah,
What is
it's
this
supposed to be like
laptop
a-
you're holding in your hands?
I mean, if it was like a Yoga 2 or something, fine.
The
But why would you
little
hold a
one
straight
like
up
this.
laptop?
I'm just saying, Keith, mad salty. Why are you so salty?
So it won for handheld.
Hearthstone one for handhelds, and it's a good game, so I guess it's okay, but when you're going up against actual handheld games, in my mind, I don't consider it
Yeah.
Hearthstone a handheld
I
game.
agree with you, because I see people playing on their PC.
I was
crazy.
like, and like the other nominations, like threes, I was like, that can't possibly win, that's a really bad mobile.
So when they say mobile, did they include things like 3DS games?
yeah, so that was just it. They had Smash Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
and they had
That lost to Hearthstone?
Smash
It makes
Brothers and
Yes.
Bravely
Pokemon.
Default.
Bravely Default.
Oh wow,
Both
that was
of-
nominated.
That was nominated,
Okay.
and both of them lost to Hearthstone
That was a handheld category.
and handheld category.
Blizzard for the win, I guess.
And I was like, I don't even understand this.
Hearthstone is a better game.
Yeah, but Hearthstone's out for like PCs as well as
And I
mobile.
hate Hearthstone.
And it's just weird. No, I kind of agree with.
I
agree with what he
I
says.
just feel like the category was so broad because
Yeah.
threes is a mobile game. If you're going like phone game, you can't compare phone games to 3DS games and Vita games, and then that to tablet games because they're usually completely different. I mean, like a $40 game versus a 99-cent game, like.
With pay to win.
Hearthstone is free, so suck it.
If you want to do any of the expansions, you gotta pay for it.
the expansion cards and stuff like that. And people have been
Yeah, and if
dumping
you
money
want to
into
do
it.
the Netflix thing,
Max Ramus?
yeah, that's right. If you want to do the other ones, you have to pay for the other branches. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, also for the game of the year, I didn't like pretty much any of the nominations. because it was more like game of the redos. Bayonetta 2, going off of Bayonetta 1, Dragon Age Inquisition, coming off of Dragon Age 1.5, Dragon Age 2. Hearthstone, also nominated for Game of the Year, coming is like basically living off of the World of Warcraft.
Are you saying? So you're saying like there's no original IPs?
Shadow of Mordor from Lord of the Rings.
That was different.
And
That was new.
Dark Souls 2. Like none
So
of the
the year of the sequels, you mean?
Year of the sequels.
I
Exactly.
don't know.
Like,
Shadow of
like,
Mordor
all-
is completely
It's
original.
the
It's a
only
new game!
No, I think you meant other than Shadows of Mordor. Like, if you look at the category, it's dominated by sequels.
Hearthstone is a sequel of what?
2 of 4.
They all of the
I took
games
6,
were none
sorry.
of like there were no. It wasn't original like ideas. Like
What
they're not-
original IP would you put there this year?
Well, I'm not saying, but like if you
Watch
look at
Dogs!
if you look at the list, I mean, like everyone seems like all of these games. I feel like are there because of the hype from previous games and not so much.
More like because they were the best games that came out this year.
I would say Shadows of Mordor.
So wait, where's
just
Smash
because
Wii U on that list?
It just came out.
I know.
But I'm just saying, what would you name?
But what's their cutoff? Because it seems like if you're having...
Those were the 5 games nominated for.
What
Game
would
of the
you
Year.
name that is an original IP that would have deserved to be there this year?
The Best of Us? I forget what that's called.
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us was Game of the Year
What
last
about-
year.
I know,
What
I
about
know.
The Wolf Among Us? Wasn't
That still falls under the same problem
Yeah.
you have, except for that your property is a comic
Yeah.
or a graphic novel.
I don't know. I just thought the 5 games and like Dragon Age 1, and out of those games, I think I'd rather have Bayonetta or Dark Souls winning. Just because I've had so many bugs with.
I don't even know what he's angry about. He's angry that there's too many sequels, and then he's angry
But now he's saying of those 5, I would rather take these 2 as opposed to the game that won, which was
Dragon Age Inquisition, which
yeah.
has so many bugs. So, like, who voted for these games? Because
Apparently,
It's not
who
fan choice.
nominated them?
no, it's a panel of
Video game
judges.
journalists.
Yeah, video game journalists and some I think executives.
That explains.
Are you saying there's a bias?
Oh, well,
Jack
did
Goose.
you hear about that bias? Like, apparently there was one of the judges, and they were complaining about.
I was totally kidding.
Oh, okay. No, but they were saying that like, oh, I'm glad Bayonetta 2 didn't win because I would have like had to quit the industry if it did.
Oh,
I was like, really?
Bullshit.
Like, that's not even that.
that doesn't
big of a
sound like
deal.
bias. That sounds like racism. And
It's not racism.
it was made by Japanese
It's
people.
No, but it was-
very anti-Japanese sentiment.
Well, a lot of the complaints I heard about the game were just they didn't get the whole Japanese mentality in game design. I
Which
think.
was what? Too hard?
Well, no, it wasn't that it was too hard. It was just like
Too
why
foreign?
they didn't get the whole like anime aspects to it. Like,
Oh, okay.
why is she like this? Why does she act a certain way? Why does the mechanic work? Like I didn't really read the reviews, but that's things I've heard in passing. Like
I heard a lot of people put
like,
it as their game of the year, though.
But I heard like a lot of the initial reviews that came out were just not favorable because of it's a good game, but I really don't like this style of game. So
But
anyway,
hey, Nintendo game up on Game of the Year. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
And like, to be fair, during the entire event, Nintendo were probably the best participants there.
Yeah,
They were the ones that were like, check out all our cool stuff that we're making.
because they released
And
the
I'm-
Zelda
and-
Wii U trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did Mario Maker. They actually had the composer of Mario and Zelda music play with Imagine Dragons and stuff, and brought them up before then.
Yeah, and I can understand why Sony didn't do it, because they had their, like, pretty much the
Their
day
thing.
after, they had their own 20th
PlayStation
anniversary
experience,
experience. But where was Xbox in this thing? Like, they were like...
Well, based on what was announced, it seems like no one wants Xbox anymore.
Well, it's like
It's too little, too late.
Well, I saw a bit of the Game Awards, and I thought it was a lot better than the Video Game Awards, the VGAs, by Spike,
Yeah.
basically. So this is just Jeff Keighley doing his own thing by himself.
Yeah,
And,
I heard he paid for it all out of pocket.
yeah.
And, like, they had, like, commercial breaks, even though it was streaming online, but all the commercial breaks were basically games paying for their trailers for the games to hype themselves
Yeah,
up.
I
And, like, I think it ran well. I just kind of want game companies to actually, like, do something original instead of just, oh, this thing works, so we're just going to make 20 copies of it.
Well, the problem with that is that every time they have tried,
It
those
doesn't
games
sell
don't
well.
sell well.
Exactly. People are like, oh, we want remakes.
Well, I think maybe next year is going to be interesting, but again, like maybe Game of the Year might be Witcher 3.
Well, did they
So, you know
announce
what I mean?
a remake of Note at the Game Awards?
They,
Or-
yeah, they did have something.
Wasn't
like
it they're remaking FF7?
No, they're porting FF7.
They're porting the
Oh.
PC version, an upscaled version of the PC one.
Oh,
Two.
lovely!
Yeah.
So I can watch shitty cloud graphics in
No,
even
they're not-
better
they're
in
not-
HD.
They're not super shitty, but they're
Well,
a little bit better.
The polygons when they're running with the super deformed
Oh.
polygons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally gonna look better in HD.
All you have to do is look at the photos that people posted about the
Yeah, well-
saltiness of this. It's like, they mounts FF7. Woo! Port! And everyone just hands drop like.
Yeah, you remember they were panning throughout the crowd, and everyone's just kind of like, yeah.
Because everyone has wanted a remaster.
Yeah, pretty much.
They've done it with other, and I understand why they don't do it with 7. They've lost most of the
Because a lot of
it's
the
broken, but it would have to be done from the ground up.
they would have
It's
to
not
redo
like
it. Yeah.
it's not like FF10-2 or even the Kingdom Hearts series, where for them it's just really fixing up some graphics easily.
And also, a lot of the team that worked on FF7 have moved on, either from the company or moved on to other stuff. They would have to really rebuild it from the ground up, and you can't compare it to what they did with FF3, 4, 5, because they rebuilt that from the ground up again.
Anyway, Square was very, very straightforward. They said they're never going to remake FF7 until a Final Fantasy game does better sales than FF7, and that's not going to happen anymore.
Ever.
So just give up. It's not coming out.
Believe in 15!
Well,
I'm super excited for 15, but I think we
For
should
other
move on.
reasons.
But I think we should move on
Well,
to
what
other
if Type
people's
0 did
remakes.
extremely
So-
well? That'd be
okay.
crazy.
Your main complaint about video games right now is that there's nothing new underneath the sun.
Are you going to bring up the games that my company works at?
No. I'm gonna say this.
What I've been up to is I've been not catching up, but I've been watching Haven over the last.
That's so
its
Haven.
mid-season finale just occurred. So Haven is about this, I guess, FBI agent called Audrey Parker, and she goes to a small town called Haven on assignment, and she discovered that this town is full of people with. I would say it's like X-Men, but if all the X-Men powers were really shitty. Really shitty in the sense and it's all emotion based. Like in this season, one of the guys, if he gets upset, he'll start sucking all the air out of a room.
Oh,
wow.
Or another one.
So basically, if it was written by Joss Whedon when he wrote X-Men, Astonishing X-Men.
Yeah, but
And
even
it's-
shittier powers.
So
like closer to Misfits powers besides the guy that had immortality?
Yeah, no, even the Misfits powers were decent, except for even the dumb ones were remember Milk Guy? You thought he had the dumbest power, and he basically wrecked their shit.
What about the guy that when he got his power was to turn into a girl?
Yeah,
so he's round. He's round
No,
one half then.
they're worse than that. Okay, so one guy, there's some decent ones. One guy can't feel pain, but he can still get bloodied. He can still get bones broken and stuff.
Like Kick-Ass.
Yeah, but he can't feel the pain.
Or that bad
Well,
guy
he can't
from
feel the
007.
pain either.
What about that bad guy from 007?
But yeah, in this season alone, some of the powers are one person. She basically creates her dead father in animal mascot costume. And they're just dancing around, and then they'll take off the helmet, the head, and it's just a dead person inside.
Yeah.
And she just created clones of that. Another person, basically, his ability is if he touched you, you basically switched bodies with someone you were keeping a secret from. Really dumb powers. There's some really cool ones. Some people have electricity abilities, and there's one guy who basically can remove the abilities, which are called troubles, by killing. If he kills you and he absorbs your blood, he will remove the trace of the troubles from your entire time. The rest of your family won't have it. So if he kills a family member, because these all go down by families.
Okay.
All these abilities. That's not the point. So season 5 is happening. So the show it was never really that great.
It sounds horrible.
So how did it keep on getting continued?
It's okay. So my problem with the show is that it started right around the beginning of Sci-Fi. So Sci-Fi, when it turned to Sci-Fi, they made a whole bunch of shows.
Yeah.
And so there's the old guard, which was Warehouse 13, Eureka. And so those are all gone. So all the pre-Sci-Fi shows are gone now, which saddens me. This is a post one. It's the closest we got to being a pre-Sci-Fi show, but it doesn't have any of the whimsy of Eureka did or Warehouse 13. It's just, and also the main character, she's versatile as an actress. The other characters, all the guys are just annoying. Anyway, the show is not a recommend. I'm watching it because
You invested too much time.
I've invested already. Like I said, this is the mid-season finale, season 5. It's the last season, hopefully. And
Andrew, you're in an abusive relationship.
I
And
know!
this is an intervention right now.
But it does have a bunch of good guest stars.
You're in an abusive relationship. It keeps promising you goodness, but it's not giving you
I
happiness.
almost died, and it's just one of those things I'm almost done. The premise.
There's no way to deal with quality.
This is a safe place.
No, but
Are you almost done with Bleach too?
Oh, I gave up on that way early. But the point is that it had an interesting premise in like what is the mystery surrounding the Troubles initially. You find out that at one point someone created them. You find out, okay, well if the main character gets into this barn, the Troubles go away for another X amount of time. But the guy who does, I can change her kind of thing, or she's the everything to me, he basically screws up for everybody. Mm-hmm. So he basically keeps the Troubles. And so that enters a new plot line where the person who created the Troubles comes and starts modifying them and things. It's a convoluted show. If you can get past the first season, the second and third season are pretty decent. Fourth season has a recurring actor, Colin Ferguson from Eureka, who brings a lot of life into the show for when he's on. And then season 5 is just kind of annoying, but it's almost done, so I'm excited to finish it. But so many dumb powers. That's mostly my takeaway from it.
So, if you had a choice between watching Heroes or your Haven, what would you do?
God,
No!
No.
Heroes was actually good.
Only season 1.
Yeah.
If you were saying Hero season 2 onward versus Haven, I would probably pick Haven.
Heroes had the excuse that the writer's strike happened.
Yeah, the writer's strike happened.
What's their excuse for season 3?
Have?
What's their excuse for season 3 then?
Writer's strike happened and everything went to shit.
Yeah.
Haven has no excuse.
Haven has no.
It's just bad.
Haven was on Sifi or whatever it's called.
Siffy. No. Season 1 was not great. It was okay as a show.
Exactly. Yeah.
Season 2 and 3 were pretty decently well written. Mm-hmm. Season 4 had a good recurring, a charismatic actor, and season 5 is just like without that charismatic actor, like the show,
It's all done. Okay, it's downhill.
I just want them to make good old classic shows like Stargate, Eureka,
So
like fun old classic sci-fi.
Stop
This is
watching
why we-
Haven and let it die.
This is why
It
we
is
can't
done.
have new IPs.
Haven's a new IP.
I didn't say I want.
Haven gave it a year.
No, it's in season 5. It's no longer new.
I didn't say I want. I want something like those
Yeah,
shows
yeah,
that
yeah,
recreate that feeling of, somewhat classic sci-fi, where sci-fi can be fun and not this whole dark, gritty, and like that's where the show loses me, is because it's doing this whole dark timeline when it could have, like, not timeline, but darkness, where it could have very more upbeat things like,
Bring back Farscape.
Farscape?
Farscape.
Farscape. No, even then.
I love Farscape.
It's good. It's
No,
funny.
but like fun shows like what happened to fun sci-fi?
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
what I'm mostly missing. Wendell, what have you been up to?
I've been trying to finish off season 2 of Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23. It's a show that came out in 2012 on ABC. It's a sitcom. It only lasted 2 seasons. It's basically about this, the main character, June Colburn, ends up moving to New York with her dream job, but this is around the time when, like, the FBI starts clamping down on all the hedge fund businesses and stuff like that. So she ends up out of a job, and so she has to take up an apartment, and she takes an apartment with this character named Chloe, who is the bitch in the Apartment 23. And Chloe's like a socialite and stuff, and she pretends to be nice, but she's actually like a really big jerk. And it's kind of like an Odd Couple show, but it's written really well and really snappy and stuff. One of the extra characters in there is James Vanderbeek, playing himself basically. And it's just really weird and crazy. Like, he talks about being on Dancing with the Stars, so there's this whole subplot about him versus his rival on the Dancing with the Stars, which is Dean Cain. And it's like all the politics behind it, and then it's also making fun of it and having fun with it as well. One of my favorite characters in the show is James Vanderbeek's assistant named Luther, and basically Luther is his like black gay assistant that's madly in love with him, and he's hella hilarious. He's super hilarious. And he's very defensive over James and tells Chloe to screw off whenever she's around, because like he always just veers off and does whatever. But the show's really funny. It's very hilarious. I was watching the second season and realized I got some episodes mixed up, so I have to rewatch it and get back into it again.
Okay, so it was on ABC. If I'm
It was on
not mistaken.
ABC. So
ABC has a knack for airing episodes out of order. They did that with Happy Endings, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, they did. And they also have a knack for not liking shows that aren't families. So like if you're not Modern Family or The Middle, like shows about a family unit, then they're like, okay, we'll kind of give you 2 or 3 seasons and kind of shove you out of the way. So like Better Off Ted, Happy Endings, that kind of went the way of the dodo. But this is another one that fell on the wayside. Sadly.
Better Off
But
Ted was great.
this show is really, really funny. Definitely worth people's time.
Who's a better assistant, Sebastian or the guy from Little Britain?
I would say Luther. I would say because there's There's a part where James Van Der Beek is like working out for Dancing with the Stars, and then Luther just kind of drapes himself over James Van Der Beek, and then Van Der Beek just starts doing squats with Luther. And they're just going through today's plan, like, okay, so you have an appointment here, an appointment there, and he's just squatting with him on his shoulders. So it's just a very seamless team that's going on there. It's really funny.
Seb, what have you been geeking about?
Well, I've been watching Inou Battle with Everyday Life. I've been watching it for a while now, and we finally find out the entire reason why people have powers. But the main group, like the people who it's focused on, don't know. So it was pretty much like a side arc where they show, oh look, there's these secret wars happening behind the scenes, but they're out of the loop. They have no idea what's going on.
Well, that's their daily life.
Pretty much.
That's it?
Yeah.
Kevin, what have you been up to?
Recently in the mail, I received Cards Against Humanity package where I got a few cards extras for this year. There was this thing called
12 Days of Christmas?
the 10 days of whatever Kwanzaa, because apparently last year they did 12 Days of Christmas, and apparently the last card is like something about Santa dying. So this year they're like, well, the whole intro thing is just like, well, Santa's dead. What do we
Why not
do?
7 days of Hanukkah?
I think that might be the
8
next.
Is it 8 days?
8 nights.
That,
It's 8 crazy nights.
that might be the next one. Anyway, I got 2 cards. One of them with my name, the other one, the one related to my topic. So that was interesting.
I'm just remembering my grandfather's menorah right now.
I also caught up to a show called Psychopaths 2. The first season I saw was really good. It reminded me a lot about like how Ghost in a Shell worked out. Just kind of like a bit of that politic plus with a fantasy type of environment. It was a little weird to see that they made a second season and how it would work, because the first season ended really well, and I was a little worried that maybe the second season wouldn't work out as well, as we've seen most animes lately, where this whole second season thing is really not doing a good job. But they're doing a great job with Psychopaths 2. They're expanding on like why this society is working, why it's not, and how people are able to get around it. It's definitely, if you were a fan of Ghost in the Shell, if you were a fan of the kind of like political background with a kind of science fiction taste to it as a full motif, I would highly recommend Psychopaths. And even the second season is doing a great job of expanding on what it's already done well in the first season.
Psychopaths, is that the one where at the end you find out like the
Spoilers?
Super spoilers.
Super spoilers? Okay.
That they transferred the villain's brain into the machine type thing?
They transfer sympathetic brains that do not get recognized by the system to be infused within the system, and so that's the big shocker of Psychopaths season 1.
And the little boy guy gets it.
And then the second one right now is playing on this guy who just is ignored completely by that system in a different way, like the one of season 1 where they would not so much ignore it, but he would always be in a positive. So like you couldn't take him down even if he was murdering someone, because
I guess he was a psychopath, and so like he didn't show any remorse or
Well, this other one in this season.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
And this one in this season is straight up someone who just doesn't even get recognized by the program, and so he's considered like a ghost, and he's trying to find himself, but trying to also destroy the system as well. So it's very interesting.
All right, so join us in our next segment where we'll be having a 90s nostalgia geek out.
I would have said geekasm.
And so first up on this 90s nostalgia train, we'll be talking about movies. So just a few ground rules. The movie has to have come out between 1990 and 1999, and that's pretty much it. So Keith, what movie would you like to talk about?
The movie I really want to talk about, I won't, because it came out, we spoke about it last week, Jumanji, which came out in 95. But I'm going to bring up Terminator 2, because it was the best Terminator movie so far. Judgment Day. It's got the liquid Terminator. It's got Arnold. It's got everything. Watch it. It's the best. No spoilers. Next person.
I also liked T2, the movie. It was very enjoyable. It does take Terminator 1, which was a very self-contained movie, and expanded it.
No spoilers.
So, I like your choice. It was a fun movie. I didn't see it when I was younger, but I've seen it recent, like in the last few years. Great movie. Any other thoughts?
Loved it.
Awesome movie.
Come with me if you want to live.
Kevin, what is your 90s movie?
My 90s movie is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It came out in 1990. It was one of the first movies I saw when I was a kid. It was great. They did a great job of kind of doing a live-action movie. It was very serious, too, still. And you had a lot of memorable music. The sequel did a bit more of that, but it was very, like, no weapons, no fighting. The first one was just great. It was a nice kind of introduction to, like, a good turtle movie, but also still being very mature about it as well.
You know, I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, but I saw that the second one, apparently, what the people who reviewed movies and all that say that the second one is way better than the first one.
Yeah, Super Shredder, Razor, and...
As terms of, like, I think plot-wise, I think action-wise it's a weaker film.
No, action-wise for sure, but like, story-wise it just felt better.
I'm just...
Agreed. The story was better, but they had a whole thing where they weren't allowed to show as much violence. The turtles still had the weapons on them. They were never picking it up to do anything with them. They were using, props.
I would assume that, like, action-wise, it was compare it to the cartoon, where the first 3-episode pilot was like all action. They're pulling out their blades, they're attacking the robots and everything, and then the rest of the series is just slapsticky. You know, like they're fighting Shredder, but they throw stuff at him, they incapacitate him, and that's it. Like that's why I kind of see the compare and contrast with the cartoon show.
Also, the second movie had Vanilla Ice.
Ice,
your
Ninja,
mileage may
Ninja,
vary with that, but I remember I liked the first Ninja Turtles movie a lot.
Yeah.
As a kid.
I saw it just a few months ago, and it holds up.
It holds up.
It holds up.
Animatronics was
Even
really
the
good.
animatronics, like,
And the stunt team was really, really good. I think they were related to Jackie Chan's stunt team, or they were Jackie Chan's stunt team, or something like that.
And even now, I think, even like as cheesy as the animatronics do look, even for like the 90s, it's still better than the CG turtles that we got into, my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it feels more real because they're actually there.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I feel like...
And you get the pairings of the two turtles going on. Like you have Donatello and Michelangelo having like their philosophical moment. So you have like the space case and the genius kind of talking to each other, kind of finding a common ground.
Yeah.
You got the two brothers that are always butting heads, Raphael and Leonardo, and that's kind of been grabbed and taken throughout all incarnations of the Ninja Turtles, when they always bumping heads and kind of coming together in the end, kind of thing.
The only thing I really remember from those movies is the second one, when Shredder just is going, "Babies! You got me, babies!"
And as much as people don't like it, I do actually enjoy the third one.
Yeah, well, the third one, in retrospect, the third one is basically the cartoon movie. And people are like, oh, this third one's so bad. And it's like, well, do you like the cartoons? Yeah, the cartoons are so great! Well, it's just the same thing, the same live action thing. What are you complaining about? And Casey Jones is back, the original actor from the first movie.
Yeah. Good choice. My choice for a 90s movie is The Lion King. Yeah. It's one of my earliest memories of seeing a movie in theaters. Just, we all know it. It's Hamlet, done by Disney. But you know what? Great movie. The animation is great. The songs are fun. I still sing them almost on a regular basis to this day.
That Elton John spice.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Elton John was the other guy.
Yeah.
Tim Rice?
I think so. I don't remember who the other composer, but I know Elton John did a lot of the primary composer.
Can
you feel
Yeah. It's a fun movie.
You know, I do not want Timon and Pumbaa, a meerkat, and a warthog singing my song. Yeah. They were supposed to have their own. They were supposed to have their own thing of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" And Elton John put his foot down and said no.
In the end, they still gave us a good mix. I do like the one where they start singing and then it's continued into the other. No, I figured the song was probably originally about them. No, I'm kidding. But it's a fun movie. You get a lot of your good classic Disney Renaissance. It's like right in the middle of the Disney Renaissance. So you've got the great animation, you got the great music, you got some good action scenes, you got a good plot, and we all remember, spoiler, Mufasa's death is as one of those deaths that really affect you.
It was like Optimus Prime dying all over again.
and it's like, not only do they kill him, but then the whole scene after that is just like, even to this day gets me.
heart-wrenching.
It just gets me.
And
Even,
when I say Optimus Prime, I mean the 1985 movie.
no, I know. But it was just like it's
And
one
it's
of
weird
those,
because you don't spend as much time with Mufasa comparatively to like a children's show,
Yeah.
but still you get the beats.
no,
and
well, you understand
you
what
feel
that
for
loss
him.
is.
Yeah.
But it's just like one of those things. Like I was watching, I was hearing it in the background of a movie on the TV, and I was just like, I'm not even watching it, and I'm like, why do I feel so many emotions?
Because it was James Earl Jones.
He's everybody's.
But
dad.
it was a great movie. Great, even the voice acting was pretty on par.
What was Lion King like? What was the anime that they kind of pulled from a little bit?
Kimbo the White Lion,
The White Lion, okay,
or something like that.
Yeah.
Or Leo the.
or Kira?
It's like Kimbo or Leo the Lion.
Yeah,
Or
The
White Lion. Yeah.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
Long live the king.
Long live the
Jeremy
king.
Irons is so good.
Except for, and he doesn't even sing his own villain song, unfortunately.
Doesn't matter. He's so good.
But yeah, he gets that
He's so foppish.
role. He does Scar justice. Ali.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Zazu and Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, you should
He
have.
was awesome. He's
He was
awesome.
really good. But your turn.
My movie? I was going to talk about Toy Story 1.
Yeah, you
But
said that was your favorite movie.
That is my favorite movie, maybe top 3 of all time, but instead I'm going to pick a more 90s movie, and it's going to be D1, The Mighty Ducks.
What?
I don't think it was called D1.
I'm pretty sure it's called...
It's called Mighty Ducks.
It's probably called
They
Mighty
didn't,
Ducks.
know, they didn't know how much money they had. They were like, we could make a Slapshots movie for kids.
And then an actual NHL team.
No, but that's it. I mean, it...
We're Disney, we could buy an NHL team.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks came out
That was
in...
2. That was in 2. So.
No. Mighty Ducks came out in 92.
Mhm.
In 93, the NHL had an expansion draft, and Disney bought a team, which became the Mighty Ducks of
Which I
Anaheim.
just know that as the
Yeah.
Ducks.
Yeah, because Disney sold the team.
Yeah.
Right.
Why would I pick this movie? It's terrible. But
It's got Emilio Estevez.
it has Emilio Estevez,
Emilio.
hockey, and kids.
It's a quintessential kids sports movie, and it hits a lot of the things you'll see in like movies to come before or and after it.
Isn't one of the guys from Dawson's Creek in it?
Yeah, Joshua Jackson before Dawson's Creek.
There you
Wasn't
go.
he in Fringe?
Yes, he was also in
Okay.
Fringe.
Yeah.
Goldberg.
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 I mean, it was...
What a crap.
It was
goalie.
It was
Who
so
put the fat
screwy.
guy in that.
Like, oh man.
He doesn't want to
it's
move.
Emilio Estevez.
The flying V is amazing.
I didn't
No,
say
that's
anything about the
that's-
fat.
They do that in the first one.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Sorry, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of the knuckle puck.
It was the
Because
knuckle
birds
puck
fly
was D2.
together.
But I mean, Emilio Estevez gets a DUI. His punishment is to train some kids to play hockey.
Community
Like,
service.
Yeah, worst community service ever.
And they're really bad.
Yeah, and this
they
is
are
like-
horrible.
yeah.
Except for one guy that's really taking it seriously.
It's not that they're bad. It's just
Yeah,
that.
the guy that he lawyered into this team.
Yeah.
Were they like urban youth? What was the deal?
Yeah, it's just that they were bad. Like they were bad
They were like
kids.
delinquents.
Basically,
But I remember
they were
it
just
was-
poor kids.
Yeah, there was like one kid, but like the
No, because how it works is okay. So
go on.
poor kids, they suck at hockey. They play hockey against Gordon Bombay's old team,
Oh, they play against
the Hawks, and they
Hawks,
get
yeah.
dunked on.
Yeah.
And then Gordon Bombay is like, "Oh my God, my old team totally shitting on us."
Yeah.
And so he goes to his boss.
Flashback. Oh, I missed.
Flashback of him letting down his old team.
His old coach.
Yeah, his old coach and his old team, the Hawks.
Wasn't his old coach wasn't he also in The New Adventures of Superman, Lois and Lane?
Oh yeah, Perry Clark. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
And so Emilio Estevez goes to his boss and is like, "I need money. You should sponsor our terrible team." And it's Mr. Ducksworth, and that's why they named the team
Ducks.
the Ducks.
Oh wow, you
And,
remember
and then
that.
they get, the uniforms, they get equipment, and they start to play for real.
Well, don't they?
No,
They
first he has to lawyer in that kid that's
No,
good.
they lawyer in the kid after.
But
Yeah, because
the
they
kid from the
find
Hawks.
they realize
Yeah.
there's like a loophole. Like, oh, if you live in this section,
The old man
yeah.
that runs the skate sharpening
Because
place
first-
tells him.
First,
The old,
they get
German
dunked,
guy.
Yeah.
and then Gordon Bombay teaches him to take penalties, and the guy from the skate shop sees that, and he's like, "You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Remember when you liked hockey?" And then he gets all those flashbacks. Oh,
I miss.
my dad's dead. And then we're gonna play hockey for real, guys.
Oh no.
And then they play hockey for real, and then they hear, he does that loophole thing to get Adam Banks on the team, and the team hears him talk shit about them, and they're like, "We're gonna play like garbage, screw Gordon Bombay." And so they play like garbage, and then he earns their trust back, where he has to choose between Adam Banks and his job or some stuff like that, because Mr. Ducksworth makes a deal with the coach of the Hawks.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't need this job. I'm homeless now. Okay, not actually. I'm unemployed now.
And he lives with one of the kids.
So
right?
So like what happens is that he
No, he dates.
He bangs
his
the
mom,
the
right?
kid's mom.
Charlie Conway's mom, which is totally inappropriate.
I love how you remember everybody's name.
So totally inappropriate.
I'm just watching the movie in my brain now. It's crazy.
And then he does that loophole thing, so, like, we believe in you, Mr. Gordon Bombay, and they get Adam Banks, and they win a game. I think they win a game. All the kids call him Cake Eater, and then they win against the Hawks at the end.
He did miss.
And Charlie Conway does Gordon Bombay's move. He teaches him the triple deke.
Oh,
and that's like the
yeah.
last thing, like, they're tied with the Hawks, and it's like the last shot, and Charlie, don't screw it up. I'm banging your mom. And then he's like, and then he does a triple deke, he scores, like, yay!
But it's weird because they managed to be good enough to actually get to the championships with the Hawks, or just they beat one game with the Hawks?
they reached the
They
championship.
reached the championship.
yeah.
With the Hawks.
But
Which
Adam
makes-
gets injured, and then the last game is like, Coach, you can put me back in and look like I can do my hockey.
Oh, yeah!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness! It's like I'm watching again with my summer crap group. Oh!
Let me back in.
Oh!
I can do it, coach. Let me
Best synopsis ever.
But okay, I forgot a part, but somewhere in there,
That was a good team up.
no,
That was a good job.
but somewhere in there, they're like watching kids do stuff, and they recruit the guy and the girl and the brother, the figure
she
skater.
chose figure skater. Yeah.
figure skaters, and then they get
Wasn't that number 2?
no,
No,
it's
it's
one.
one.
The kid with the slap shot.
And the kid with the slap shot.
And what about the
skate.
big?
Oh, yeah, the knuckle puck.
No, that's the second one.
Yeah.
The knuckle buck's the second one.
Yeah.
The first one, they just got a kid who's got a really strong.
Yeah,
hand.
Reed or something.
Is
Yeah.
he just can't
skate.
He hit puberty
Is that
early.
is that
And
the
the tall guy wore the bandana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like one of the he's like a bully or something.
Yeah. And you could just shoot a puck really well.
And then in the second one, he becomes part of the Bash Brothers.
Yes.
He finds a kindred
Actually,
spirit.
it totally makes sense that they could all play hockey because they're in Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
why they could all play
No, they all
hockey.
could play hockey. It's just that they had shitty equipment and they weren't motivated to play.
No, because I was gonna say it's in the second one where all the black kids are really good at hockey.
Yeah,
And I'm
because
like,
they go.
that's weird.
No, because they go to the West Coast because for some reason the big
World Championship?
Yeah.
tournament is happening in somewhere
Team
hot.
USA!
And so they're this is when rollerblading was really big.
Yeah.
So like, what's crazy is like that's Keenan. What's his name? Keenan.
Thompson?
Yeah, Keenan Thompson is the kid with the knuckle puck. So I remember years later, they're skating in Rockefeller Center, and he's skating super fast. And I'm like, why is he skating? Right, he was in D2 and D3. Of course he could skate.
Yeah.
I thought he was just some dude from Atlanta. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that Mighty Ducks won.
And then at the end, they're all at a fireside, and they start singing "We Are the Champions."
Yeah, that's how the movie ends.
Best good ending.
Also a movie I've seen recently in the last year, and that one does not hold up as well. No, I'm just kidding.
Mighty Ducks?
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely doesn't hold up now.
I think it would hold up very well for me for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
And I was
Nostalgic wise, but you
and
couldn't
I
show
was-
it to a kid today.
and I was super big into
As
hockey
well.
back
They'd
then.
be like, why is this movie so bad?
Yeah. Like, I feel like TMNT, the first one you could
Mhm.
just show to kids today and they would still probably enjoy it to some extent. But, like, Mighty Ducks just feels very...
Well-
a lot of it's so, like, contrived in some regards.
Well, if memory serves me right, it's basically Slapshot for kids.
Yeah.
Is the nutshell of it.
Yes.
Disney's hockey movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
yes.
for sure.
But I still enjoyed it. It's still a fun movie to
Well,
watch.
it brought us Mighty Ducks, and it brought us 2 other movies, and the animated series.
Yes, that has nothing to do with any of those movies or
Yeah.
the hockey
With,
franchise.
you know, like anthropomorphic ducks.
It did
That
have
was
nothing to do
funny.
with the hockey franchise.
That was
They
funny.
played for the team.
And it also brought us Quack, Quack,
Quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, quack, Go Ducks!
Awesome.
90s nostalgia.
Yes. Seb.
Jurassic Park. I'm done. It's the movie, okay, that introduced all this CGI technology, okay, and that still holds up the test of time. You know, you can show it to kids, and it looks super good.
You know what I learned from that new movie? No matter what role he takes, Newman's an asshole.
Oh, I was gonna say that
Dino DNA.
it made me very afraid of going into bathrooms.
Yes, because you never know when the T-Rex will just come and eat you.
Only if you're a lawyer.
But, oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
The
'cause he is
lawyer's
scumbag.
guy.
Didn't say it in my word.
But also, just one thing to bring up about that movie was that apparently a lot of it wasn't CGI.
No, there was a bunch of CGI, but a lot was also animatronics.
The majority of it was more so animatronics and puppetry, and then.
But the CGI that they show, okay, like it's still on par with a lot of CGI that you can see today.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
If anything, it looks more realistic than some of the CGIs I've seen like in recent years.
Well, I remember they were doing an interview recently with the guys that did the CGI and the puppetry and the animatronics, and they said 80% of that movie is like puppetry and animatronics, and then the rest of it is CG. So like the big expanding shots and stuff like that.
Exactly. With the
But like when the baby raptors come out, that's animatronics.
There's a lot of obvious, but a lot of the scenes that are obviously CGI don't look like today's
CG.
cheap CGI.
Yeah,
It's sometimes like
it looks
it's
really
like
good.
like something comes out and you're just like, oh my gosh! But it's like it felt like they were in the environment.
Yeah.
You could tell that it was CG. The way they did the CG around it. And wasn't it also done by ILM? I think.
I think so.
Potentially. Well, I think because I feel like that's who did the
I don't
CG.
remember.
I could be wrong. But I remember it was like
The
a
thing is,
really big company that did it.
The thing is, I know Steven Spielberg also like pushed the CGI from what it was before to really what we know now.
Right.
Well, I guess a good way to say it is like you know the Brontosaur scene when they first see the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
When he's
That's all CGI.
so good.
But that's
when the
like I
Brontosaur
looked at it
sneeze
on
on
the
them.
big screen like a few years ago.
The 3D release,
not the 3D release,
20-year anniversary.
but it was Monday movie retro movies at the theater where they would just show movies from like the 90s, and you're looking at it on a big screen and it still looks great. And even today, like you can look at it on like in HD and it still looks great. I mean, I love it. The movie that brought dinosaurs into fashion, like
I loved dinosaurs before, but that just made me love it even more.
it seems like Spielberg took a page out of the Lucas marketing merchandising book because there's so much.
I just want to give a little shout out to Land Before Time. That's all.
It's no Jurassic Park.
It's no Jurassic Park, but just a little
But
tiny,
Littlefoot.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little tiny shout out. That's all.
Jurassic Park, it's not just like, oh look, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's a really suspenseful movie also.
I think that's where everyone came back on with. Yeah, dinosaurs. I forgot
I
how
also
cool they
think
were.
it was the first movie that showed a lot of dinosaur poop.
Yes, a mountain of dinosaur poops.
Oh man,
That's a lot of shit.
'Cause you know what, man? Those berries, bad berries.
It was right before what's his name, the guy who plays Malcolm, Dr. Malcolm Reynolds, Jeff Goldblum.
Yes,
They gave us Jeff Goldblum in his prime.
Yes, I think it's right after the fly.
I don't know, because have you seen that commercial about Jeff Goldblum's lighting?
No.
Oh man, he did a commercial for lighting, and it's like the cheesiest, like almost Austin Powers cheesy, where it's like, lighting, it can make you look like Jeff Goldblum. And it's like just this ugly guy, and then the light turns on and just Jeff Goldblum in a robe.
The thing is, maybe a bit off topic, but Jeff Goldblum, okay, he shows up in the TV show Portlandia. He's great, still a great actor, but back then, in his prime,
Oh yeah, people loved him.
everybody loved him.
Great movie. Jurassic Park. It's just
surprisingly a very charming man.
And you know what? I think they barely, like, there's a T-Rex that they tease, and he doesn't show up till, like, more than
the
halfway.
T-Rex has probably, like, 3 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, but he doesn't even show up until, like, more than halfway through the movie.
Oh, yeah, well,
but when he comes in, he freaking, like...
He comes in, that's the money shot.
Exactly.
It's a great movie, because there's, like, the build-up, the suspense, everything is done so organically, and it feels very natural. It doesn't feel like you're waiting for something to happen.
Like, oh, where's the monster? When is it coming in?
Because they had like little monsters to like tease you until the big one comes.
Yeah,
but you knew like the opening sequence is a bunch of people getting wrecked by raptors.
Well, there's the raptor. There's the
spitting
one.
Yeah,
that was there. The brontosaurus and all that, and then we're all dead.
So, great stuff. Definitely love that pick, Wendel.
So I was trying to decide what to go with, and everyone was yelling at me, and I finally figured out something in my moment of clarity, and it was The Mask with Jim Carrey in 1994.
It's a classic.
It's a very big classic, very comedy great. Basically, Jim Carrey plays a character named Stanley Ipkiss. He's a very shy and meek kind of guy. He just so happens to chance along this mask in this very polluted city of... Oh, I forgot the name of the city.
Detroit.
No, it's not Detroit. It's like a no-name city. New City, I think. Like something really weird. something really generic. He wears the mask, and it turns out it's the
Mask of
Norse.
Loki.
Yeah, the mask of Loki, the Norse trickster god. He dons a green face and a big bright yellow zoot suit and runs around, causes mayhem, havoc. Later on, he has to stop a crime boss named Tony, if I remember, and save his newfound girlfriend that's played by Cameron Diaz. And this movie was a weird marriage between Jim Carrey's animated self, like his real animated self, and CG. The CG for his face and all the cartoon stuff that he has to do.
And you can thank Jurassic Park for.
Yeah, that's true. Because we've pushed it so far.
Exactly.
Well, parts of that CG I feel hold up well, and some of those don't hold up well.
Yeah, it's just certain scenes.
For that movie.
Certain scenes, like I think like the face where he's like the wolf and he's whistling, it holds up. But then when he's like bouncing around, you can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
It looks very weird.
Wait, was Ben Stein in that movie as well?
Yes, he was.
Oh,
Yes, he
geez.
was.
My favorite scene in that movie is the Mambo scene.
Oh,
When
the
he
Cuban
gets-
Pete?
The Cuban Pete,
Yeah,
yeah.
when he comes out of the park and he's like hands up and there's like all these squad car and then he basically starts a whole mambo conga line going on.
It's Desi Arnaz doing Cuban Pete from I Love Lucy. So that's what it's from. Really good movie.
Good question though. The whole mask thing, did it explain in the first one that it came from Loki, or is that from?
Yeah,
like,
They did explain it, but they don't show anything.
Because they have the mask expert, like, oh, this is the mask of Loki.
Yeah, this is a Norse mask, and it was probably...
Because the sequel to that was just atrocious.
We don't talk about
No, we don't talk about
that-
that one.
That's
I've never
the
watched it,
dog
and I'll
got the
keep it
mask,
that
eh?
way.
The dog and the baby,
Yeah,
and then Jamie Kennedy.
No, the first one had the dog at least once as well.
Yeah, Milo.
Milo, yeah.
Milo was really awesome. That movie was awesome.
I enjoyed that movie.
And Steve Guttenberg is in it.
Is he?
Yeah, he's his best friend from
Oh.
the bank. Obscure reference.
Well, not for the 80s.
I'm good. That's it.
Oh yeah,
Anyone else?
I definitely enjoyed The Mask. That was one of my. I also saw that in theaters. Fun movie. I have to go now. I want to go back and revisit it.
Well, you saw all the other ones recently. I guess you're gonna have to revisit them.
No, those were all completely unrelated.
Okay.
When I say recently, I mean in like the last year.
Okay.
And it was just like by happen chance that it's like I'm at my friend's place, and it's just like, yeah, you want to watch the TMNT? I've never seen it. I'm like, sure. Any honorable mentions you guys would like to throw out there?
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, another Jim Carrey movie.
The first and the second one, they're so good.
Yeah, they are good. I don't know why people don't like the second one, but whatever.
Have you seen the first one recently? I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember like the ending to the first one being a bit.
It would
Like,
fly.
we would not be able
No,
to maybe
it
today.
probably
but
wouldn't fly.
It would
from
not
what I
fly
remember,
today.
it's because it's just like that twist is a bit like I remember back then. I'm like, okay.
She's got Captain Winky.
That's why,
They're still very
that's why
fun
Robert
movies.
Podactor's dead. He found Captain Winky. Dun, 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 dun.
Then
very
everybody
fun
starts
movies.
spitting. It's like, come on,
Any other
guys.
honorable mentions?
I want to say Mrs. Doubtfire.
True.
Great movie.
Another
Great
movie was cross-dressing.
Hook.
And Harvey Firestein. You can't
So
go wrong.
maybe we should. It seems like Robin Williams, like
Pretty
Aladdin,
much.
Hook.
I was just gonna say Aladdin.
Honestly, I was gonna say the Disney Renaissance of the early '90s. So
Yeah.
you've got Beauty and the Beast, you've got Aladdin, you've got Lion King, you've got Pocahontas, you've
Aladdin.
I
got
wanna
The
put
Hunchback
Goofy-
of Notre Dame.
I want to put a Goofy movie in there.
A Goofy movie. It doesn't technically fall in the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, I know, but still.
But I
It was-
love that movie.
I love
It's
that
one of my
movie, too.
favorite movies.
Oh my
That
God.
it's a great movie.
Do you know the like ending music, the dancing?
If
Oh,
we listen to
yeah, it was
each
Powerline.
other. Anyway, so yeah, definitely a Goofy movie's up there. It's a road trip movie. It's fun. The music's great in it. Any of the Disney Renaissance movies.
Mhm.
All right, so that was a few of the movies from the '90s that we really enjoyed when we were younger. Join us on the next stop on this train where we talk about TV shows from the '90s. Woohoo!
Oh, really? Because I thought we're geeking out.
So on the second stop on this 90s nostalgia train, we'll be talking about TV shows. So Keith, what TV show are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about Queer as Folk, the UK series, because it came out in 1999, which is a bit late. But as a gay youth growing up, I remember waiting up to 10 o'clock at night on Showcase, even though I should be going to sleep or doing my homework, and watching the show just to see gays on TV. And the show was amazing. It was sad. It was hilarious. It dealt with a lot of issues. Some of them a little sketchy, considering that Brian, an ad executive who is obviously an adult, starts dating a 15-year-old kid named Nathan who's still in high school. But
Heavy.
Maybe the laws were more lax back in the day.
In the 90s?
yeah, it was But it was very serious. They had some really great lines. The best speech I've ever heard was Stuart Allen Jones talking about being an arse bandit when his nephew tries to blackmail him.
What?
Or his speech when his best friend Vince's mom asks him, "Why don't you ever want to date my son? You're both gay, you're both 15, why don't you ever want to shag?" And he's like, it's all about blood. I don't get hard for him. You know, there's love. And he starts making up with the mother. He's like, "I love you, see? But I'm not hard."
That's weird. Okay.
It was very intense, and as a budding gay youth, I really enjoyed it. And I think everyone should see it because it's way better than the American version, even though it's only 2 seasons long and the American one goes on forever. And they only made the American one because they really hated the UK ending.
So thus they just decide not to end it?
Well, the UK ending one ends up, without spoiling, them going to America and dealing with shit, dealing with rednecks.
Okay.
And so America was like, no, we can't have it end like this. So they rewrote the script, they changed it to Americans, even though it was filmed in Toronto, but it took place in Pittsburgh.
Same difference.
And they made the character that plays Nathan from 15 to 17, and it was played by a guy who's in Sons of Anarchy.
Charlie Hunnam?
Charlie Hunnam was the gay boy of the US version of Queer. No, he was the gay boy of the British one.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah, he played the 15-year-old in the British one.
Wow.
I don't remember who plays the American
Sons
one.
of Anarchy.
Alright, Sons of Anarchy. That's a great show.
Interesting show.
And he was
Interesting
good in
choice.
Pacific Rim.
Yes.
He was also good in that other show that he did, where he played the straight asshole. It was like one of those girly shows. Never mind.
Kevin, your TV show of the 90s.
Reboot, that just blew my mind at the time. It was amazing. It was one of the things that made me really want to try to get into 3D animation, but by the time I was even remotely able to start getting into it, it was already overly saturated by that time. I remember seeing a music video before this series came out called Dire Straits, Money's for Nothing. That was done in 3D. So that when I saw Reboot, I'm like, holy f***, this is like, oh man. And of course, in one of the episodes, they do show them.
Yeah, Enzo's birthday.
Yeah, Enzo's birthday thing.
And they get booed off the
Yeah,
stage.
they get booed off the stage. But I just thought it worked really well. Just fantastic. Every time I rewatch it, I learn new things. I realize like a lot of the names used in the throughout the series are related to either computer-related stuff. I like hexadecimal kind of format, SCSI, just a type of hard drive adapter. So many good. They did such a good job with it, and it expanded a lot more throughout the years. No, it was just a great show. I'd say it's still worth watching it. I keep hearing all the time that they're trying to remake it. I hope they do. It's worth a remake.
Isn't that like super official now for realsies?
Yeah, it's
I
called The
guess-
Guardian Code. It was released on
They
the website.
gave it a title, they gave it an
Didn't they already
image.
start casting?
I
Also?
think they're
I don't
expecting a release for 2016.
Seems like it.
Good.
But Reboot is such a great show. I started watching it again, marathoning it, and the references, they have like the exoskeleton from like they used once, and
From Aliens.
from Aliens, yeah.
The
Quotes from Moby Dick, and like nobody knows what's going on. It's just,
the rock battle.
That was from another movie, though. Like, they do a lot of references to movies in that show,
Yeah.
but, like, sometimes they fly over your
well, yeah.
head.
Well, there's one reference, from the Fantastic Voyage
Mhm.
or Inner Space, whichever you want to say, but like where they go inside Enzo's brain.
Oh, yeah. Every show has to do that at some
Yeah.
point.
The whole concept was very novel. I liked it. It was very fun.
One thing I really liked about Reboot was that they took the idea of Tron and expanded on it like crazy. Like, just went out in the open, supercomputer this and that. They actually connected to the internet. And then in the movies, where they tell you like, oh, well, this is what happened, the modem blew up or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel that it's one of the reasons that Tron like kind of helped expand people's ideas about what's going on in computers and stuff like that. So that's one thing I really, really liked the show. They just ran with it and they did a really good job.
Felt way more realistic than Tron, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, I mean, I'm not even going to expand on it. No.
That's fine. Reboot. I love the concept of the games they played. Megabyte is a great villain. Even like season 3 or 2. Is it 3? I think it's 3. When at the end of season 2, something happens to Bob.
Yeah, that's
and so
season
season 3 is it's like Enzo has to grow up. Eventually he does. And then we have the season 4, quote unquote, which were the 2 movies. The craziest of cliffhangers. And you're just like, when's more Reboot coming?
Never.
And then nothing for the longest time. But overall, it's just like the kind of show that I love watching. So the first season's CG is a bit awkward.
Yeah, it's better when
It's the first CG animated television show, so that's to be expected.
Yeah, because like basically, the first Reboot is basically Mainframe at the time, Rainmaker now. It's their Toy Story. It's their little baby.
It was like it's like their test shop to some extent.
Yeah,
they would go in there. They would just that's how they trained to get better at making CG.
And then as it got better, like you saw more details on the characters. And then third season had lips.
Yeah,
like even the little binomes have lips that are pouting and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I love the binomes, the ones and zeros.
I remember when they wanted remember they had the firewall and there was like a bunch of binomes that were like, hey, we want Megabyte back, and then they had the Blues Brothers, I hate Neo binomes, and they start driving through them.
Yeah.
Or the great, and one of my favorite episodes is the Dungeons and Dragons episode where they go into the fantasy game.
Mike the TV!
Is that our introduction to Mike the TV
as
well?
No, you see Mike beforehand, but this one is really more like
about him.
It's all
about him saving the day and stuff.
How could you forget about Cecil or Hexadecimal? Those are the best characters.
It's a Cecil.
I had a toy, Cecil. Oh man, Reboot toys were actually fairly well made too for the time.
They had a nice model to go off of.
Yeah, great show. Also made by the same company that made Reboot is Beast Wars.
Yep, so Beast Wars, or aka Transformers Beast Wars, aka Beasties if you're in Canada. In Canada. Voiced by a lot of the voice actors are from Ocean Group. It was done in I think in BC basically.
Well, the voice acting.
Mostly good. Yeah, I think Mainframe was stationed there too. Yeah,
but the Ocean Group. If you know from a lot of anime from the 90s, they did a lot of the voicing for that too.
And so Beast Wars is basically what you end up finding out at the end of season. 1 of Beast Wars is that it is a continuation of Transformers Series 1. No, sorry, Season 2 of it. You find out that it's a continuation of G1 of Transformers because Megatron tries to kill Optimus because they crash land on a primitive planet and they think they're on some random ass planet, but it turns out to be Earth.
Yeah.
As the story moves along, they realize that they could change the past. So it's a really, really good show. You have Optimus Primal, which is not Optimus Prime for the first time in a very long while, and he's his own separate character. And you have his cast and crew. And this is probably one of the best written Transformer shows to ever come out in some time because the cast was small. The cast was small. They didn't have to really introduce new toys every single episode. And they did what the Transformers movie from the 85, 86, they killed off characters in the new season and they brought in new ones, like the Fusors and stuff like that. And the writing was done extremely well. They tied it into G1. It's fondly remembered, and when I rewatch it, it holds up surprisingly. Seriously well. One of my favorite episodes is, I think, A Warrior's End, if I remember right. And that's basically Dinobot's last stand. And so he used to be a Predacon, so you have the Maximals and the Predacons, and they're descendants of the Autobots and Decepticons. And he has his last stand against the Predacons, and he gives out like a soliloquy and ends up dying, and that was all kind of off the top of the head of that voice actor, which is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, there's also, I find there's like the characters are all very well written. They were all pretty fun on both sides. Bossmanator, Rat Trap, Rhinox,
Silverbolt,
Black Arachnia,
that plays both sides of the team and everything like that. Tarantulas.
What was the pterodactyl one?
Who cares?
Pterosaur.
Yeah. He was like your Starscream.
Yeah, basically.
He was your Starscream.
What's funny is that when they had the Starscream episode, he does not talk at all. Because it's the same voice actor.
But definitely a great show. So, Sam, what's the TV show you chose?
Stargate. It's probably the best sci-fi, like, midway through the 90s. It's super episodic, but, every episode is really great. And, you go to all these different worlds. The cast chemistry is really good. I don't know what more I could say, but, it's really just a great show. They really got me into, sci-fi really hardcore.
Okay. I like it because the concept of traveling to other planets that quick through a wormhole and a gate system was pretty cool. The fact that there were ancient people who seeded the entire galaxy. They took over all the hard work so humans could just go in and be like, alright, this is easy. And they do expand upon the universe greatly. Unfortunately, it leads to as much as Stargate Stargate universe at the end, but the original Stargate is still great. I still think even up until the last few seasons, which I know a lot of people aren't a fan of.
They're not that bad. I've rewatched everything like last year, and you know what? The last couple of seasons, which when they were coming out, I didn't really watch.
Yeah.
They're actually not that bad.
I think it's just people didn't like the fact that Richard Dean Anderson had left by this point.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing, and then another thing that a lot of people were a little iffed about is because a lot of the characters that
From
joined
Farscape.
Yeah, a lot of the characters from Farscape, because that show had ended, had joined the cast of Stargate SG-1.
Only 2 people.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
2 main people.
Yes.
No, well, the other one had already been there before, and then the other one came in as the new replacement leader, and as a choice, it's like, who do you get to replace Richard Dean Anderson?
5 people. He's not replaceable. Seriously.
So that's the thing, so...
Who can replace MacGyver?
Yeah, who do you get to replace Richard Dean Anderson? I mean, it's difficult, but they found a decent replacement from what I can
Richard
say.
Dean Anderson keeps putting in like quotes from The Simpsons because it's like his favorite TV show.
And then every time they ask him, like, who says that? Homer Simpson. It's just like,
Is
they're
he
like,
like
what?
Is he like the old guy, or just talking to people that aren't from this dimension?
No, like he during like when he's talking about the other people.
Well, half the time also he's talking to like Teal, who's your
Oh.
like your straight man to like the
Oh,
greatest
yeah.
degree because he's not from Earth, so he doesn't get all this Earth culture.
But the times when Teal, okay, like uses some of the stuff like that he learned, okay, but like he just says it in his way. You're like, oh my god,
So good.
it's so good. And probably the best episode is the whole Groundhog's Day episode.
Yes! That one was great.
Is that the one where it starts with them playing golf?
No,
No.
it's he's eating his cereal and Daniel Jackson's asked him a question but he wasn't listening. So like every time he starts his day, he's like, "What?" and for Teal, it's the worst because he
always
starts
starts
his day with the door
with
slamming on his
his
face.
face.
Oh.
Great
So
episode. Great show.
I like the scenes where he's just like, I'm taking this loop off. I have to. And he's just like painting ketchup and mustard on a plate because I'm going nuts! It's so good.
But actually, this is also one of those shows like Stargate as a universe. I feel like it's good classic sci-fi in that sense. It's fun, it's adventurous, it's still actiony, it still has good drama.
A lot of humor.
Oh yeah.
It was still made in the 90s, and it's still the product of the people who they cast in it. Richard Dean Anderson.
Well,
is
Richard
that
Dean
kinda
Anderson actually
charismatic.
became like when he signed in. Okay, he signed in. He told him that he wants it to be episodic because he doesn't want him to be the main focus every episode.
And they still
But
made
that's-
him the main focus
but
most
it's-
episodes.
But
But to be
it
fair,
would
like,
have been a lot more around his character if he
Yeah.
hadn't, asked for these conditions.
But I think at that point, that's why we get so much Daniel Jackson involvement as well.
Yes.
but like I was gonna say,
Samantha
like
Carter.
out of the other 4 people, I mean, Teal'c is interesting. Samantha Carter, I wasn't really crazy about, and I found
She's the best.
Yes, absolutely.
I think she
Catherine
got
was
way
amazing.
better as the seasons
Oh,
go
for
on.
sure,
yeah.
because
But at
that
the
shit more to do.
beginning, oh my god! And Daniel, I didn't like his character ever.
I don't
I was
disagree
like,
with you there.
I
I was like, they're throwing him in. He's like the Billy of Power Rangers. No one.
No, that was Samantha Carter. She was the Billy of Power Rangers.
I
He
know.
No,
fixed Alpha,
no way.
he fixed
Yes.
the deck, he did everything.
Because
He
she
stuff.
fixed everything. She invented most of the stuff based on, and she reverse engineered a lot of these
Yes.
things. She is totally the Billy in terms of the fact that, other than the fact that she's female and he's male, and even the color scheme. I'm kidding.
don't know. I didn't have an issue with Daniel Jackson. He was an archaeologist, and I thought it was cool.
Oh,
Honestly, my problem with Daniel is that his focus is very.
Charette.
Yeah, basically. It's the whole thing. It's like he's so focused on that one thing of saving his wife, and it feels like it overwrites his character sometimes.
Yeah, and when he finally does that, then he's like, okay, now I'm gonna ascend. Oh, now I'm gonna de-ascend, because I don't like the way God's handled things.
Well, also that's mostly fan involvement because when he left, people
Yeah,
they replaced him, but people didn't like the replacement, even though the replacement wasn't that bad of a character.
Yeah, he was actually
Yeah.
kicked that. He kicked that.
Yeah,
And the thing is, I think it was a monetary issue. They didn't want to boost his salary, so he's like, I quit!
and then he
Yeah.
came back, and so
Yeah.
they didn't have to pay us as much anyway.
And then Dave, and what's his name? Jason Mimosa? Jason Momoa?
No, that's Stargate Atlantis.
Okay, excuse
So
me.
that's also pre-Syfy, so it still has that fun classic
But
Stargate
it's
feel, but
post-90s, so we're
Yeah.
not talking about it.
yeah,
Okay, sorry.
it had a lot of that feel, but later on, and
Jason
then we get
Momoa.
Universe, which completely shits on the Stargate formula.
I liked Universe.
So did I.
I'm not saying it's
tried to-
a
they
bad
tried to-
show.
they tried
Out of all the post-Syfy shows, I liked Universe.
Yeah, but it's basically Battlestar Galactica.
They tried to be Battlestar Galactica,
Yeah.
but didn't.
But without the whole Battlestar Galactica
Without the grittiness
But
of
they
the
are
character.
villain?
But they have Gold from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I know. He was the best part of that show most of the time. Stargate, great show, definite, like...
30% of the time it works all the time.
Anyway, so
Anchorman.
Yeah, we know that.
I knew what you were talking
You knew
about.
it.
It was like, what does that have to do with the 90s? The show or series I'm going to talk about from the 90s is Power Rangers. I guess in more classically, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, you mean so Billy?
My favorite character, by the way.
Let's finish it. Huh?
I heard my favorite character. Are you talking about Ivan Ooze?
That's the movie. We're talking about TV.
When you lose, you lose.
Anyway, so the show I picked was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's a classic show. 5 teenagers with attitude get the abilities to become basically superheroes and save the world from the threat of Rita Repulsa, who after 10,000 years is free trying to conquer the Earth.
Why didn't they just shoot her?
Because they never
She
could
was
reach
on
her.
the moon.
She was on the moon most of the time.
Why
And she always had to make monsters grow.
And why is she only attacking Angel Grove? Just attack somewhere else.
Bitch should be doing other things.
Just go
It's
somewhere
because she has
else.
a vendetta, because they screwed up her first plan. She's like, I must destroy you before. And anyway, if you can don't start poking holes into 90s logic, first of all. There are so many holes in 90s logic, you don't even want to go there.
Well, I mean, her
Like,
invasion...
why don't they just send more putties?
I was gonna say, her invasion method was very weak. It's like 10 putties here.
Oh no, you defeated my 10 putties. Let me send
Why would
10 putties.
Why do you guys choose to shit on my segment?
No, let me rebuttal this. And what's up with her weak points? No, that only happened when Lord Zed came in.
Which that was terrible.
That only happened when Lord Zed came in.
Here's a kick me button. Just destroy me.
Wow, so thanks for talking over me, everybody.
Hey, at least like golden.
Goldar.
Goldar.
It's
That was
awesome.
pretty cool.
Yo, his wife was hot. Scorpina? Dang.
Okay,
Good job, Goldar.
Power Rangers, great show.
So you were
Moving
saying-
on.
What about the two goons? What's their name again?
Vulcan Skull!
Or were you talking about Squad and Babu?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
he was
probably.
probably talking about them.
And then Finster the Monster Maker. Those are characters in the show.
Finster was Finster, not from Recess.
Oh!
Not Mrs.
What was it?
Finster.
Actually, I was talking about the two jerks that are
Oh,
human.
Vulcan Skull.
Yeah,
You're gonna say they have Vulcan Skull.
But I mean, that dude, he was not creating monsters fast enough.
He was an artist.
What was the
Yeah,
golden
artist.
helmet football looking guy? The hero. He like helped out Zodon.
Alpha 5?
Alpha?
Alpha?
Yeah, it's Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
And how is Zordon's, how is he surviving in that
He was trapped in an alternate dimension. and
Yo,
this
I'm
is the
pretty sure
communication
Zordon
system.
is just Lex
Oh, was
Luthor.
he?
Yeah, he was basically trapped in an alternate dimension, and this was his way. He could only communicate using the tube. It's not like in the movie.
Yeah, because in the movie,
In the
no,
movie,
he-
he's in the tube.
And then he's like, I'm like, goon head.
No, there's a lot of times
tube.
where basically they lost the signal, and so they couldn't reach Zordon.
Okay,
at
so
point.
he's not on Earth.
No,
Okay.
he's basically trapped between dimensions. It's
I like that a lot better than the movie.
under that. Yeah, the
Yeah,
movie he's
the
just
movie's
living
great.
in the tube because.
Uncle Fester, what are you doing here?
So it's your typical 90s show in the terms of it's episodic in the way that, a lot of the same things will happen. So the kids will be doing the teens will be doing something, and
Usually
then
a martial
Rita
arts
Repulsa
competition.
will basically send a monster, they will defeat the monster, monster will grow big, they will get into the robot, and then they will hack it to death with the
They
sword.
struggle sometimes.
They would struggle sometimes, and sometimes Rita got a few good plans in.
And at the end, but in the end, it's always the same move.
Yes.
No, sometimes the guy had to play his flute.
Yeah. And it was the progenitor for the series we have now, franchise, 20 years later.
People are still watching Power Rangers.
People are kids are still watching Power
Kids
Rangers.
still know what the Power Rangers is.
Yes.
Yep.
What's the one now?
Megaforce.
Super Mega Force just ended, and we're gonna get Dino Charge in February.
And Super Mega Triforce.
No, that's gonna be Super Dino
Was
Charge.
Megaforce the pirate one?
No, Mega Force was the one before the pirate one.
How about Super Mega Force Dino Force?
Why do you guys always harp on pirates?
No, I want to
No,
know.
no,
I
he's
want
being
to know
serious.
which one
That
was
was-
the pirate one. That's a.
The
No,
pirate
that's
one's Super Mega Force, and they don't really say they're pirates. They just it's the one based on the pirate because Power Rangers
Yeah.
is based on a Japanese program called Sentai or Super Sentai, and that one was pirate themed. In
Just like the Gundam.
yes. Anyway, point is they have a pirate ship which they don't call a pirate ship. Their costume is pirate themed, but they don't make reference to the fact that it's pirate themed
because they changed it to everybody else. So there's no real point in making a big deal about it.
But that's now. But good old the classic one, great show. Even the fact that it was repetitive, even that some of it was very silly.
I watched it every day.
It was awesome, and it kept going. I mean, like I dropped off in season 2 and 3 and I've rewatched them recently. Season 2 is not great. It's not great.
It's when the Green Ranger comes in, basically?
No, the Green Ranger comes in the first one.
Alright, so this is Zeo?
This is season 2.
With Rocky
MPR
and
season 2. Yeah, with Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. Adam and Aisha are great characters. Rocky is okay.
So season 2 is after the movie?
Yeah. No, season 2 is before. It's basically around the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So season 2 is... the movie happens basically between season 2 and season 3.
Oh, okay.
So the movie happens after season 2, and then in season 3, they were also filming season 3 while they were filming the movie, and so that got into a whole bunch of crazy issues. But season 1, great. You know, you can always make the thing that, they put the yellow one in the yellow, they put the Asian one in the yellow suit, they put the black guy in the black suit.
That's racist.
You could make that,
That's
but in the end,
profiling.
they actually had characters. There's a lot of out-of-suit stuff that they do.
Originally, the girl that was supposed to be in the yellow suit was going to be more of a tomboy played by a black girl?
No.
In the pilot?
I think she was Latina
or something, and she was more tomboyish.
Yeah,
way more tomboyish.
They have characters, they have personality, and I think the fact that they were limited by how much footage they could use made them do a lot more American footage. Because I see it now, and they use less. They use so much more of the Japanese stuff that it feels like a lot of the characters we have now aren't as great. But back then, it's like, yeah, sure, they were coded to like Billy's the nerd, Trini's the
translator.
She's a translator. She did more than that. She was basically she was a tomboy to some extent, but she was also, as much as she was a tomboy, she was that feminine. So she got along as well with Kimberly as she did with
the guys,
with Jason and Zach,
and beat them up every once in a
while.
while.
Yeah, even then she could throw down with the boys if she wanted to. Zach was the black one guy who could dance. And Jason was the leader.
Apparently, the actor for Zach, he has a bit of a martial arts background.
Well, they all actually had a bit.
When they had to do live action scenes with him, beating up the putties with a dance move, he had to make up some of that stuff on the spot.
Well, they all had all of their a lot of their traits. So Kimberly actually did do gymnastics. Her actress did gymnastics. Jason actually was the better martial artist. He had the most martial arts training before the show started, and Zach could dance. And so a lot of these made it in. It was just a fun show, and it blew up like crazy over a bit too. So definitely love Power Rangers. Great show. Ali, what's your show from the 90s?
PBS show that was also shown on CBC.
Ooh.
I think it might have been Canadian.
It had Canadian actors.
A lot of the voice actors are actually from Montreal.
Yeah.
And
the Greater Montreal
American, because it's based, Arthur's thing is based in, Boston. It's
oh, really?
It's a suburb.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere, but it's a suburb.
It's
America.
Boston-ish.
Though no one has a Boston-like accent.
Yeah.
So the show is Arthur!
Yay!
Yes. Which is still going on. Surprisingly.
How do you spell aardvark?
A-A-R-D-V-A-R-K.
So, Arthur. Why did I watch that? It was on CBC all the time right before I went to school.
I used to watch on PBS.
I think I might have seen every episode of season 1 10 times.
It's impossible not to see every episode 10 times.
Yeah, I guess it's just... They would show it in the morning, and when you came back from school, it'd be 3 episodes of Arthur, but there's only 20 episodes. And... I'm actually very surprised if no one has ever seen Arthur.
Really?
I'd be very surprised.
I feel like a lot of people around our age range would have seen it because it was on PBS fairly prominently in the afternoons. If you came in the afternoon and you watched PBS, chances
it was a big after-school program. It was there before school. What's Arthur? Bunch of anthropomorphic animals.
It's created by Marcy Brown? Mark
Brown. Yeah, it's based on his book series.
His children's book series.
Yeah, and it dealt with kids issues.
Yeah. In a very, I guess, 90s, some of them were you have your kids who are coded to certain roles. So you have your Brain, who's
you had the nerd. You had Muffy, who was the
rich princess,
the rich girl.
You had Buster, the best friend that never
who's
falters.
the jokester. He's the class clown.
Class clown.
You had the bully, who was with the heart of gold.
Biggie Barnes and his crew.
Yeah, it is terrible.
Then the little sister DW, Dora Winifred,
the brat, and Francine the tomboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the girl, the cat girl, Katie or something?
Who's Katie?
There's like one of his friends is a cat. Like she looks like a cat, basically. But I can't remember what she even did or anything.
For real?
I don't think she's one of the
he's-
main ones.
Yeah.
That's season 2.
No, it's like a
You're
side
thinking-
character. It's like a mech character.
Because I was gonna say Sue Ellen is like the closest thing, but she's like a monkey. Or something.
No, not Sue Ellen.
Yeah. Anyway, so it dealt with like kid issues.
Yeah.
And like fads, like Crazy Bus.
No, that was little kids.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the
No, but
Swedish group.
Oh.
No, but everyone was listening to Crazy Buzz. Like everyone was on that Crazy Buzz.
But it was mostly, well, even Arthur makes mention of how Crazy Bus was for little kids.
Yeah.
Even though his friend liked it or whatnot, but it was all about that like Swedish group.
Yeah, it was called Binky. That was their Binky.
Oh.
It was called Binky, and they were like spray painting their name on like things. And then Binky got in trouble with the principal. He's like, "Well, stop me! It's not me!" And at the end of the episode, you find out like it's a band called Binky,
Yeah.
and they're the one spray painting.
And then you find out later on that they're all virtual reality.
Yeah.
When they go to a concert.
Sorry about that, Binky. We're gonna clean up that graffiti for you. So it dealt with some wonky things, but there's also some very real issues in there, like that one where Arthur makes a plane model and his little sister throws it out the window and he punches her.
Oh,
and he gets in trouble for
Well, we
it.
say real issues, but real kids issues.
Yeah, real kid issues. And then so
I
you
brought the computer.
Arthur learns a lesson at the end because he gets punched by Binky.
Yeah.
And he's like, I shouldn't have punched my sister.
Yeah.
And the computer one where his mom, don't play with the computer, and he totally screws around the computer playing his stupid underwater game, and he screws everything up.
Yeah.
And she's like, all you had to do was jiggle the switch.
Oh yeah.
And then we have the greatest episode, the musical episode. Having
Yeah.
fun isn't hard when you got a library
Oh,
card.
God, that was the best episode.
Anyway, Arthur was a great show.
Yeah, it was for everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to segue to anything.
Oh, okay, and then you had more to say. It was a great show.
Great show. Intro was done by Ziggy
Ziggy
Marley.
Marley.
That's pretty good.
And yeah,
It was a fun show.
Mr. Ratburn. No one likes Mr.
Yeah.
Ratburn.
And it was funny because like Mr. Ratburn had his moments where you're like, I actually like Mr.
Yeah.
Ratburn.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that everyone was very likable to some extent, and at
Well, you
some
had no
point-
real bad guys. That's why.
Well, it's a kid show, but it didn't. It wasn't like the kind of kid show that talked down to kids either. It treated them like they were kids, but not like you're a dumb kid. You're just kids, and these are the things you would kind of have to deal with when you're like 10.
And they seem to have oddly a lot of money because they were always that's Sue Ellen.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Okay. I knew it. Yeah, because they always had that pop shop.
Well, that's just 90s.
Yeah, the kids need somewhere to go to, and
well-
we don't have a rec center.
Well,
so
first
they
of
can go
all,
to the
it's
store.
90s, so America was still pretty rich, so they probably all.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're always hanging out. Like I've
But
never been
also
to a pop shop.
it's 90s like sitcom or 80s sitcom. It's like, how can they afford to do all this stuff half the time? Like one weekend they're in Aspen on vacation, the next they're doing this, or we're going to a park. You know, like they had as much money as the plot required, but every day they did kind of go to that soda shop. Maybe it was just super cheap.
Guy was not making money.
He was selling a loss.
He's serving kids.
I'm starting to think that in one episode he did go.
Under?
Yeah, that the shop did go under. It might have been a plot point or something.
It probably was. Any honorable mentions from anybody?
Doug.
I was gonna say King Arthur and the Knights of Justice for their amazing intro song,
Yes.
and also Goosebumps. Who here didn't watch Goosebumps in the 90s?
I was more of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
But that's Sardo. Accents on the dough.
Yeah, but Are You Afraid of the Dark was Canadian, Goosebumps was American.
Yeah, but they did get it in the States.
I think Are You Afraid of the Dark holds up a lot better than
they
Goosebumps
did get it in the
does.
States. They got it on
I know, I've been
Nickelodeon.
watching a lot of Goosebumps recently.
It's cheesy.
But you know what? It still stands
Also,
up.
Are You Afraid of the Dark had that really cool campfire sequence. And I met the guy who does.
Oh, you met Bill, what's his
No,
name?
Russ Hall.
Russ Hall?
Russ Hall.
He works on the Weather Network now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he did a bunch of Best Buy commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I met him at Beaver Tales.
Oh
And
God.
I'm like, you look familiar! Were you on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yes.
It's like, I do commercials now.
at summer camp, I got married to Beth, which was the black girl who around the summer camp.
Oh God,
Like,
Keith
cat-
must have
cat-
been livid.
And I completely I submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. Oh wait, we're talking about Goosebumps. So yeah, Goosebumps. It still had some good stuff in it. So
My honorable mention is gonna be Magic School Bus. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick with educational PBS shows.
so much of that stuff has been revised since then, though.
I'm just saying, Miss Frizzle, terrible teacher.
I don't know. I like liked her motto.
Terrible teacher or best teacher?
I liked her motto though.
Let me
It's,
put my kids in danger. Yeah.
No, not that.
Yeah, and
No. Her motto was remember, make mistakes, get messy.
Yeah.
it was a bit more long than that.
No, what was it again?
I don't remember.
Oh, you remember?
It's been a while since I
Take
watched
chances, make
High School
mistakes,
Musical.
Get messy. Like
Yeah.
that should be the way you kind of live your life. Because if you don't make mistakes, you won't learn anything.
Not anymore. Everyone just gets coddled.
Yeah.
Coddled.
Let's just say that in a postmodern Magic School Bus, after that first trip, Miss Frizzle is fired.
Definitely fired, and that bus is getting scrapped.
No, it's
I-
getting taken apart and discovering its technology of how it exists.
I'm just saying.
Where was all the waivers every episode?
Seriously.
Arnold. No, not waivers. All the permission slips.
Yeah.
The parents allowed their kids to get in trouble and to go inside Arnold's intestinal system.
Arnold was the reasonable one.
He didn't want to do anything. And what about Phoebe? In my old school, we didn't do anything. In your old school, they were poor. All right?
Go back to your old school.
They had no funding for anything.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
It was a small class.
Yeah, it was just
It was
one
class
class.
6.
It was one class in the whole school.
Where's this budget coming from?
It was clearly
Magic.
a private school.
Like, yeah, I don't know if they ever
Maybe it
showed
was
other classes.
Carlos.
Maybe it was a special needs class.
Oh.
Seriously, like the joke is like they're actually all mentally
Oh.
challenged.
And they're always in their imagination.
Boom. Magic school bus.
Solved.
It's okay. They all grow up into becoming the Planeteers anyway.
Oh.
Honorable mention.
Gargoyles. Gargoyles was a great show.
Yeah.
The episode seasons were weird because it was like, I think season 1 was like 20 episodes, season 2 was like 130. Once they realized that they had such a good formula, they were just trying to force all the episodes out. But it was such a good show. It was very serious. It was very... Like, it really brought in, like, a nice, dark feel to what, like, Disney could do.
And also based on Midsummer's Night Dream, basically. The world of Midsummer's Night Dream. Sprinkled in with, like, Norse mythology a bit.
Really great show. And I have to mention another one, but Daria.
Yes.
Daria was a very mature MTV movie coming out from Beavis and Butthead, a completely not mature and absolutely just wonky show. Not that I hated it.
Definitely not for kids.
Yeah, but Daria was just really,
Definitely
like, really
captured-
mature, really got the teenage feel at the time.
Teenage angst.
Yeah, that too.
I did
I don't-
not like Daria when it came out.
I like
And then, even then, I go back, I'm like, I can see its value, but I'm just like,
Okay, Ahmed.
but you could just, it's like a lot of it could be changed by, it's like, she just chose to have a very dour outlook on school, and I can understand why, but it was just like, she changed her opinion. It's not like everybody at that school were total douchebags.
Oh, no.
Like, and she even starts to realize it in, like, I think later seasons, like, some of the people there are kind of cool, but it's like, it just felt like her whole, like, hate for school could have been turned around if she just said, you know what, maybe I'll try to make the best of it. But then
But
that's not
that's
the point
essentially
of it.
what it did happen. Is she grew
Yeah,
up as
it's
things
not-
expanded. There was a big story that like went with it, and it was really I don't think
it
it was
was-
definitely worth it.
I wouldn't say it's angsty, but it was just like kids at that time were feeling like kind of a little bit disenfranchised. and
Snarky,
stuff.
sarcastic.
Yeah, and like she does make mistakes. It's not like she's like it's perfect. Da, 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 da. Everyone's a teenager and they make their mistakes and blah blah blah.
Here's another one. Seinfeld. Although it started, I think, in '89, but during the '90s is most of its run.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah, I agree. I like Seinfeld. It has a lot of great moments in it. And it holds up fairly
It holds up
very
really well.
good for
Like,
now.
I rewatched it when I got the box set,
Mhm.
and like, it's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
Well, one thing I like what people are doing now with Seinfeld, they're trying to like explain to you how story structure is, or like how to write.
A show about nothing.
No, not a show about nothing, but how to write a script. And what they'll do is they'll take out all the subplots from an episode and they'll just repost it, and you'll just get like maybe a 3-minute, 5-minute episode of the main plot, and it still holds up. It's still hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you break it down, I mean, sure, you could update it, but I feel like for the time it came out, it was like, even then, it's a show that could only really come out at that time,
Yeah.
the way it did. If you tried to remake it now, it maybe
Nah,
wouldn't
it
work
wouldn't
as
work.
well, but...
I don't think there's anything right now that's similar to that.
I
right
think-
I was gonna say,
I don't
you
think
should
it-
read modern Seinfeld Twitter, because they post like
Updated versions of these episodes.
a Twitter thing, and it's just plot line for the episode. Here, let me read one. Kramer has a scheme to sell us spots in Black Friday lines, but when the other shoppers find out about it, they purposely trample him. The episode is playing in your head. I mean, It's like every tweet is just like 2 lines.
And makes sense. It's a good subplot for an episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For a modern Seinfeld, and it's ridiculous because it's so little, but you can imagine it right away.
The thing is, they could have probably kept going, but they decided to end it when they were like
On
at the
top,
peak.
yeah, you might as well.
Well, Jerry is making crazy amounts of money on it still.
Still,
Well,
Because
so is
royalties.
everyone else that worked on the show.
But I'm
besides,
saying-
like key grips and stuff, like little people.
No, but what I'm saying is also because
It's still syndicated.
he was
Newman.
producer of everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's
Well, that's what most comedians do. They have to be everything. Look at Louis C.K.'s show.
Yeah,
He's
but I
the
mean,
producer,
Si-
the writer, the editor, and everything.
but it's not as big as Seinfeld. What
No,
I'm
it's
saying
not
is,
as big, but still critically acclaimed.
even though Seinfeld is done, he's still making.
That mad cash.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's showing, like, you can see it daily on one channel or the other.
I just want to add that another show that doesn't hold up anymore at all, but was perfect for its time and related to Daria, is Beavis and Butthead, which came out in the 90s also.
Well, that's what I brought up too. You
It
can't
was
watch it.
great
I
when
think
it came out, but now...
I think they
can't
did
be done.
try to remake it. I haven't seen the
they
remake
did.
of it.
They did.
I should take a look at it just to see if that actually worked out, but I just can never picture it working. Like, you watch the old episodes and they're showing, because it actually had the music videos in between, and you're like trying to rewatch this. I'm like, I don't know if this would work. All they would make fun of is like the next MTV show that might come up, and it's gonna be like, what are they doing? I don't know. It's really
I am
weird.
Cornelio!
My honorable mention is King of the Hill. I'll just leave it at that.
Cool. All right, so
Damn it, Bobby!
all right, so my honorable mentions. I
Okay.
guess I'll name a few. So my first one is Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yeah!
It came out.
Right
Technically,
on!
I think it originally came out in the 80s in Japan, but in North America, it came out in the 90s. And when they got the show, they got like none of the scripts that go along with the show. The writer had to basically make up an entire show based on what he saw. And what
Robotech style.
basically, well, no, Robotech. I still think they had some of the
They
scripts.
had
to
some
some
of the
extent.
scripts, but
For at
they
least
just
the-
made their own.
But they kind of
story.
mashed in a whole bunch of other things. Big 3 completely unrelated shows fit. But with Samurai Pizza Cats, what they did is they basically took the show and in a semi-Power Ranger style, because that would also what kind of happened on Power Rangers, is that they would get the footage and they would not exactly know what was going on in the Japanese version, so they had to make their own plot line. And so they made the entire plot line. They spoofed the heck out of whatever they wanted. They make references to a ton of stuff. It was a fun show. It was silly. The voices were just very kooky. And it's cats who made pizza who also fought crime in the city of Little Tokyo.
Yep.
It was fun. And you did a video game series on it.
Yeah, I
So, but I definitely love Samurai Pizza Cats. It was a great show. The second one, I guess it's a twofer to some extent, is Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. That early anime that most everyone, if you grew up in the 90s, saw to some extent. Maybe a few episodes, or you've watched the same episodes like a dozen times, because back then, even though the show was done for years when it started coming out here, they were
They hadn't finished translating all
the
of it.
translation and the voice acting for it hadn't been done. So, like, some people have seen the first arc with Raditz like 50 times, whereas some people have seen the Namekian saga. It took them maybe several years, or even
A decade.
It took almost a decade to finish the Namekian saga.
Remember when they were finally airing it? It was a big deal. They made it a big TV
Yes.
event and everything
Yes.
like that.
I remember back on YTV back in the day, what they decided to do was, it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting new Dragon Ball episodes, so every day we're showing like 4 to get caught up to the new stuff. So that was great. And Sailor Moon was just fun because it was also the show that what everyone watched, boy or girl, even though it was a girl show.
Yeah.
You just kind of watched it. I mean, I watched it during my lunch breaks, my lunch breaks from elementary school, but it was a fun show.
I
Because
remember.
it's fun all around, you know. You don't.
Yeah, and the
remember
voice
everyone.
acting is fun,
Yeah.
and it was just it was a fun show.
I remember back in those days, my friend was getting the fan subs, the VHS fan subs of the movies at the time for Sailor Moon. And those were pretty fun to watch. And he also managed to get, I think, the second season. It was like either the Doom Tree or past the Doom Tree with the other sisters that they fought. And so you actually got to see like the uncut fights where like Sailor Mars fought with like, I guess her name was Kitty in the American one. And it was actually a pretty intense fight, and both of them got like damaged pretty hard and stuff like that. So that was always fun too. Like that was everyone's like kind of gateway into subtitling and subs and stuff like
Because
that.
I remember my cousin managed to get a few of the VHS tapes of Dragon Ball Z. Back then, VHS tapes had like 2 episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It was crazy.
It's basically around the time of like introducing the anime and like pushing it into the mainstream of
It was.
North America.
It was not. It wasn't really that. It was to some extent, but it was like the first. It was like the early steps. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the big push. It's just like it's one of those things that everyone had seen. They know is anime later on, but they didn't know at the time. So it's like your Speed Racers, your Robotechs. Like those existed, and people have like seen anime for almost forever. But it's not until like the 2000s where anime just hit this huge explosion in North America. So, but before that, everyone had kind of seen Dragon Ball. Everyone like Cartoon Network basically lived thanks to that. Funimation exists pretty much still because of it. And even though you could spend episodes just powering up, we didn't care. It was still fun.
It was the only thing we had.
Yeah.
Digimon also.
Yeah, Digimon also. That's also on the heels of Pokemon kind of thing. Digimon is also a great, it's just a fun show. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just excited about it.
It blew my mind. I was just like...
It was just awesome. It's fun, and it took the whole concept of monsters. It was trying to do the whole Pokemon thing, but it did it in its own way that was different enough that made it its own thing and made it just as interesting and a lot more fun, in my opinion. It also dealt with a lot more adult issues, especially if you like watch the Japanese version later on. But even the one that we got in North America, I love it because it had a bunch of silly puns. It was lots of jokes. It was great, and Digimon is just a lot of fun. We'll probably talk about it at a future date anyway. So, any other ones?
Nope.
So that was the first part of our two-part segment on 90s nostalgia. Join us in the next segment where we will be giving you our info.
Hey, this is Anthony Bowling, voices of such characters as Yuka in Fairy Tail, Ukyo in Samurai 7, and Alciel in The Devil is a Part-Timer, along with many, many more. And right now you are listening to Geeking Out at the Tower podcast.
And that was episode 5 of Geeking Out at the Tower podcast. Join us next week where we'll continue our discussion on 90s nostalgia. If you want to send us an email, you can send that to goattcast@gmail.com. We like to read emails, so send them our way. You can follow us on Twitter at goattcast. You can also like our page on Facebook at facebook.com/goattcast. And if you want to find our episodes, about us, and all this other information, you can go to our website at goattcast.wordpress.com.
What's that WordPress again?
goattcast.wordpress.com. I'm your host, Andrew, and today I was joined by
Keith.
Wendell. Kevin.
and Ali. Thanks and have a good time. We will. Quack, 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 quack.